Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, A Level Plain Poem, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, Effie Patriot, Thomas van der Zander, Chris Wouters, Sea Level Cultist, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, J Mel's 24, Unamento, Iron 26, Endless, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. With that, I will hand across to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show. Something like I'm doing while I'm doing this intro, which I probably shouldn't be. But there we go. You need me to put, oh, why am I echoing? I'm playing through my monitors, that's why. Right, okay, let's get you the link. Start actually setting up the live stream as nobody's around. Is anybody in Discord? Hey, Surf Daddy and Vitali.
Yo, I'm here. What's up?
Guy.
Your mic sounds pretty bad, man.
Pretty bad?
Good morning, David.
What do you mean it sounds pretty bad?
Well, I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, it's okay.
Just a different mic. You used to hearing me on a £1,400 Neumann, and this is a £200 Rode, but I'm using it just to get used to using it, because if I ever do a show with my daughter, I'll be doing it in a more noisy environment. Thank you very much. It's me talking to my wife. He's bringing me coffee. More importantly than you, no offence. But yeah, if I do a podcast with her, I want to know that I can use the mic. In other words, I need to be disciplined enough to be able to use this giant honking great big mic, because it's a dynamic like people would use in a radio environment, right? Where you're not in an ideal environment.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm using that. Anyway, you're distracting me. I need to give Neil a link, don't I? So what I've done is I've set the show up a little bit earlier today, and I've told the kids, don't close the door. Do as you would do, just wander around. And I want to see how much bleed we get, background noise that is, into this mic. Very little, I would hope. You probably can't hear them at all.
No, I can't hear anything in the background. I mean, when a little while ago I heard somebody speaking, but it was faint.
Sure. Well, I won't really know till I actually get on with it and listen back to the audio, because I'm not going to monitor this while I'm doing my show. There's too many things.
Well, I'm looking at your voice through spectrogram right now, and the signal looks really clean. I mean, it's a little muddy in the high end, but like it's full. Like you're pulling 20K of frequencies. Like you're getting the full band, so it looks really good.
Yeah, there's no is there no? Did I cut my? No, I've left on the high pass and low pass are still on. I mean, it's rolling off, so I suppose, yeah, you'd still get full range. I've got quite a sharp roll off, about 18K, and then it's 12, maybe 18 dB per octave from about 80 hertz. So, yeah, I suppose, yeah, you would get full range from that, wouldn't you? I can't believe you've got a spectrograph running.
Yeah.
That's so geeky.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. That's so ace.
Yeah, and I noticed that right at about 17K, there's like, it's like possibly where your what do they call it? Like your S's and your T's, like the noises in that range. It's louder than normal. Like there's like a certain spot that just looks like it's amplified at that point.
Okay.
It's kind of strange looking.
Just double
But
check that
it
I've
could
got
be
anything.
good.
No, it's all flat. Other than whenever I try a new mic, when I listen to it back, it really throws me off if I've got all sorts of weird de-essing and compression and stuff. The output's still going to be compressed, obviously, to the audience, but no, I've turned off all the EQ and weirdness that I'd have. That you pile on over time when you get used to your mic and you just want it to sound a particular way, so you do certain things to it to clean it all up. Well, all of that's been taken off. For the most part, this is just clean. It's just so I know where to start with this mic. Like I say, if you don't use a mic, you don't know how to use it. So I can't quite believe my luck that you've just told me all of that information, because that's incredibly helpful immediately. So wow, thank you so much. Very helpful indeed.
You're welcome.
All right, brilliant. Now that you sound great, Brian's here early. Brian, did you get that message I sent to you? Because I would like this guy dealt with today.
Oh, here we go. What guy?
Yeah, that's those things you shared with me, Neil.
Yes, and did you see what he claims that they're stating? Even though Nathan asked for demonstrated pitch curvature, if there is any, which there's not, and he came back with some nonsense. Yeah.
So things you shared with me then.
Yeah, everything I shared with you, correct.
Right, in the past 3 days. Right. What that's talking about is, see this outdrift. That's talking about a rotating out. I didn't see any claim of curved out. Like, I didn't see Sperry claiming anything about any curve arc correction. Number one, I saw the claim of an apparent drift due to Earth rotation. Now, whatever the bloody hell that is, that's up to Sperry to prove that. Now, this is Sperry. Right? It says at the top ntsb.com or whatever, but I don't know if that's from the NTSB. That's the Sperry are a separate company. They make parrots and stuff, but they're not the NTSB. So I don't know if the NTSB would stand behind that. But what Sperry are talking about there is they're talking about when there is a 2.5 degree or more out of alignment, let's just say, right? Let's say a 2.5 degree bank or whatever else, that would be extended for 3 minutes or more, or up to 3 minutes or whatever. They naturally correct that, because it says in it, and this is my point, the pitch data is from a commercial airliner. That's why I picked commercial airliners, because they don't do a load of acrobatics. They have pendulous vanes within their attitude indicator system, but the pendulous vanes have to hardly do nothing. Basically, they hardly do nothing in a commercial airliner because they don't need to. It's for fighter jets and stuff, and planes that are smaller planes that are making more maneuvers. That's when correct, or with the liquids and the torque system, right? What they're talking about is when there is a maneuver or something that has caused a 2.5 or more degree change, and that has lasted for 3 minutes or more, then it corrects because it knows that's not proper. Like, that would mean that the plane would be about to crash or something, or heading for a crash situation. You know what I mean? Once the plane is 2.5 degrees out of bank for 3 minutes or more, or pitched in the wrong way you know what I mean? Whatever it is they're trying to correct for. Once that is going on for 3 minutes or more, that is a completely unnormal situation. It even actually says in it, and this is why I'm talking about commercial airliners. It says it in it that under normal conditions, this is not happening. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen under normal conditions.
Yeah, Brian, I did notice that it's got to be talking about one of them fighter jets, because it's talking about maneuvers here. That's why I like that you brought a commercial flight. What maneuvers do you have in commercial flight?
They do bank and bank and roll, and they will do yaw and stuff. And obviously, if you're trying to come into land somewhere and you're getting a lot of wind and stuff like that, or you're getting a lot of weather, when you're lower in altitude, that will cause, like, you may have to come in at a bit of a kind of a disgruntled yaw angle. Oh, well, yaw angle is not a real thing, but your yaw is the angle of your yaw, which would be the turn of the plane, maybe a bit off. If you have a wind going, let's say you're trying to fly straight in at a landing strip, and you have a 30 an angle, a wind at 30 degrees off of that, blowing you 30 degrees away from it. You might have to have a certain yaw or whatever trying to get to the landing strip, all right? You're basically trying to counteract what's happening with the weather. That's what a pilot would have to do. But that is only if there's bad weather. Most of the time, the weather, like you can go to Heathrow Airport, and most of the time for the whole year, with the exception of a few days, you're going to have basically normal enough conditions, because normal conditions are within a certain range. So you can watch planes land. Let's look at LAX. Planes landing all day, every day. Do you know what I mean? There's a place that's probably very.
I'm really sorry to do this to you, Brian.
Constant.
I'm only paying half attention, so if I'm missing something, maybe just tell me I'm stupid or something. But we've already got pitch data. We've already got the measurements. Why do we care? Why do you care what these people think?
Because this is referencing, this is an attack on the pitch data, Nathan. That's why you're supposed to care.
Hold on.
Correct.
Is it your pitch data?
No.
So,
you're missing it.
Have they, hold on, I'm nearly done. Have they directed this, as you quote, put it, attack on the pitch data? Have they put that to the people who use the pitch data to study life and death scenarios or not? Or is it just you? No offense.
I'm talking to Neil. Neil sent me stuff. I'm now referencing what that stuff is. Do you want to hear about it or not?
Of course. Don't take what I'm saying the wrong way. I'm just making the point that you said an attack on the pitch data, but you haven't produced the pitch data, and the pitch data itself is what it is. Now, if you're saying that they're attacking pitch data, are they addressing that attack to the people who use these flat Earth measurements or produce these flat Earth measurements, or are they presenting you with counter arguments to recorded facts in pitch data? Which is it?
What they're doing is the documentation Neil sent to me was from Sperry. You know Sperry, they make the gyro compasses and stuff like that. Now, not the NTSB. Now, these documents have a ntsb.com heading on them or something like that, but it may not be official. I don't know. Basically, these Sperry, it's a system the Sperry have had in the past. I don't know if they still use it, where it's a way of recorrecting the gyro, let's say in the attitude indicator or the tone coordinator or something, when there has been, let's say, a pitch change in some direction, maybe a bank change or whatever, a pitch in the bank or whatever, that has gone over a certain amount, and over a certain amount of time, they know there's a problem there, right? It's like they know that, so they correct it back. The point is that what Neil has sent me and what the ballers are trying to attack is they're trying to create a correction that happens in an unusual situation and hardly never happens with a commercial airliner. They're trying to take that. Yeah, exactly. They're trying to take that and use it as an argument against the pitch data and claim that the pitch data is not the raw data.
Okay, I'm tracking with it.
Yes,
Gotcha.
exactly. They're saying it's not raw data. When you get the data that you have for pitch data, it's all been corrected.
That's why I asked. So I already dealt with this, didn't I? If you want to suggest, I put a video out literally covering this. I don't know if you watch my videos, Brian. I make a lot of them. But one of the videos I put out was specifically covering this. If you want to suggest that the data dealt with by the NTSC is corrected, that's to say, not raw, then that is an affront to everybody who's had their loved one's death investigated by the NTSB, because they're not dealing with the raw data. They're saying that there's some correction to some of the tools that they've got on the graph measuring straight lines potentially, or degrees above the horizontal in the case of the chord line of the wings. If that's not the original data, then I've said you need to go out and challenge them, not us, to show us where there's corrections being made and what the original raw data shows. Now, that's absolute garbage, because that is an affront to the NTSB. To suggest for 1 second that they're doing that is just disgusting. That's my point. Now, if you want to get in touch with the NTSB and say, oh, right, this flat earther is saying things about you, then you can do that too, but that's idiotic. The challenge is to the data. Brian, you already said it. That's why I piped up. The challenge is to the data. Now, the data is used to study death. So I couldn't give a crap what they say. Now, the scenario, thank you for explaining it to me, because I was setting up things and wasn't really paying full attention. But now I know what you're talking about. What you're talking about is, in a commercial airliner, the extreme example that might befit this example given to you by these ballers who are arguing with you, not NTSB, for a self-correcting, non-reported as raw data information set that we've already got. But with you, in this case, Neil, they're presenting you with a set of information that suggests there's a correction based on if there was a very, very tight bank on a commercial airliner. So, for example, if they were put into a very tight holding pattern for some weird reason and it was beyond the mechanical limitations of the gyro, then you might need the pendulous vanes to kick in to correct it back to straight because you'd over-exceeded the mechanical limits of the cage, or
Well,
whatever, the gimbal.
They're not even, just so you know, this is not pendulous vanes. They're calling it a pendulum, but what actually is a liquid and torque system. They're calling it a pendulum, but it's not actually a pendulum. It's not. This is not pendulous vanes.
Fine, it's done with motors and little what is it, mercury-filled pots that you trigger as like a mercury switch that would then kick in a motor. It's the same principle, though, isn't it? It's just correcting it. If it goes beyond, it's an extreme limitation of the mechanics that holds this tool, the gyro, the spinning bit, in its place. Well, those have limitations, and if you're in an extreme bank in an airline, it might be that you go beyond those mechanical limitations of a gyro. But it doesn't mean that you've already summed this up in the last conversation with Neil that I did pay attention to. In a fighter, you're far more likely to have this scenario be encountered when you're pulling extreme manoeuvres, like you said, because suddenly you're more highly likely to over-exceed the limitations of the gyroscopic motion in its physical cage or gimbal or whatever you call it, whatever the metal bits that go around a gyro are called in technical terms. I don't care. But in a fighter, you might exceed that regularly and therefore need regular readjustment to the horizontal via some tool like pendulous vanes or little motors that are actuated or switched on by little mercury switches that get turned on when that physical piece of metal gets to its limit. It just touches against a switch and engages a little motor that compensates for that exceeded limit. But that's it. But these things aren't happening in the pitch data, are they? If they were, they'd be recorded.
Sorry, I need to explain. I need to explain. Look, I don't want this to talk over you, but I have to stop it. It's not even just that. What we're talking about is if there's a bank of 2.5 degrees, let's just say, away from level, away from horizontal, and if it's 2.5 degrees or more and it lasts for 3 minutes or more, they naturally correct it in the data. Right? They're correcting it, or they're correcting it within the plane as well, right? The point being is that this is a situation that can happen, and obviously it's way more likely that with a fighter jet than with a commercial airliner. Can it happen to a commercial airliner? Yes. Is it likely to be happening with commercial airliners while they're flying in general? Absolutely not. And the same for even if it just gets temporarily knocked out like it would with the fighter jet. That's the purpose of the pendulous vanes. They were more for fighter jets than not for the and the smaller planes. You know, smaller planes can do a lot of nonsense in the sky. A bigger plane can't be doing that when it's full of passengers. You know what I mean? It flies straight, level, horizontal from point A to point B.
It's all logged.
So but the main point with this, what you must, if you see, this is the thing. This is what the ballers are trying to do. What is it correcting it back to?
It's correcting, the gyro itself is correcting its horizontal fixed in space, however you want to describe that useful aspect of a gyroscopic motion that's being utilised. It's correcting the cage back around to a fixed 0 point. So in the case of on the ground, let's say you've landed and you spin the gyro for the first time. With an old mechanical gyro, you had this mechanism, a physical mechanism that you would push in, and it would what's called cage the gyro, which is to say reset it all about an axis that matches the spinning motion of the gyro. So it's all lined up at a 0 point. Well, all the pendulous vanes are doing is correcting that if it's been knocked out of alignment through an extreme manoeuvre in midair. And it's correcting it, to answer your question with all that preamble, to horizontal.
Yeah, see, no, this is the thing. The pendulous vanes don't allow it to lose its. That's the purpose of pendulous vanes. They don't allow a gyro the horizontal gyro, because even within that document, they're referring to the gyro within the attitude indicator and they're calling it a vertical. It's not. It's a horizontal gyro in the attitude indicator. So whoever's writing that, didn't even get that part. Didn't get that part right. Point being is that the pendulous veins don't allow it to happen because of the system, right? They're basically using vacuum to make it not possible for that to happen. Now, this is a situation where the gyro is being run electronically that they're using this. Normally, with a pendulous vein, a gyro in an attitude indicator that has pendulous veins, it's being run with air. So they're pumping air through, making the gyro spin, and that air then goes down the way, is directed down, right, and out through 4 ports, right, that are partially covered and misaligned with their coverings. When there is a bank or something, let's say if you're in a fighter jet, and it knocks the gyro slightly out of it, that is corrected by the pendulous veins. So the pendulous veins don't allow any change to happen basically at all. But this gyro we're talking about, because any gyro, all 3 mechanical gyros, the 2 horizontal and the 1 vertical gyro in an airplane, they all have 2 power systems. They all can work off 2 power systems, either a vacuum or electricity. Basically, I know they need electricity for the vacuum, but it's a slightly different system. This here that's being referenced here is for the mechanical gyros that work off of an electric system. That's electrically turned. It's not using a pumping of air to turn it. It's electrically turned. So that probably doesn't have pendulous veins. So it's using this system instead of pendulous veins. So this would be a system, what's being referenced there is a system that is outside pendulous veins, because that's a system where the gyro is being powered directly by electricity and not by the pumping of air. That's obviously going to be electronic. The pumping of air is going to have some electronic component, but the gyro itself is being spun by the pumping of air. It's not being spun electrically. So this system would probably be only on gyros that are electrically driven and not driven by air and vacuum. So the point I'm making is, with pendulous veins on a vacuum or air-driven gyro, that won't happen at all. In this situation, it's a correction for when it does happen, right? It's a correction for when it does happen. But this is the problem. What are ballers? What's their argument? They're just correcting it back to horizontal.
Yeah. They're still correcting it back to the horizontal plane of reference that we argue for the chord lines to be above in the pitch data, which we've got recorded, which brings a nice summary to... keen for you to understand that when I'm sounding critical, I'm not being critical of you. I'm critical of the point being argued. It doesn't mean I don't want to hear you argue it either. It means that I'm pointing out that there's a benign nature to the criticism that we currently receive from our opponents. In terms of the data for this, we've already got it. Yeah. The gyros aren't in a tight bank triggering any mercury switches. That's not happening. We've already got the data. We've checked. It's flat. We've measured it. But you can argue with you like, that's ballers, with the pitch data if you want to. But like I say, you go and argue with the NTSB or the black boxes, not me. Now, we're reading the data off the pitch information from black boxes. It's not ours. Who cares what you think? Don't tell me that it's wrong, that it's corrected. Okay, if it's corrected and not raw data, go and take it up with the NTSB. I don't care. I already know that it's not. They're investigating death with it.
Yeah, the measurements you're asking for, they're saying it can't be in there, and the NTSB acknowledges that, and that the gyro is correct for Earth curve. So they're trying to tell us that the pitch data we're reading has been corrected for already, no problems anywhere.
No,
gyros don't correct for Earth curve. Hang on. That's not what gyros do. Gyros remain fixed in space. If that's what they're saying, they're wrong. But I don't care what NTSB say, and I've been quite clear about this. Sorry to cut you off, Brian, but I just want to make it clear what I'm asking for. If somebody wants to present me with something, you're like, why, number one, I'm not asking you for anything. But if you want to go and get data, then you feel free to go and get measurements that contradict the ones that are in every single black box ever used in every investigation ever. You want to contradict that? Fine. But you're going to be challenging endless reams of already investigated data. That's the point. So if you want to challenge that, you be my guest, but it's not me that you'll be taking it up with.
Yeah, but they're saying all that data is corrected. Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
No, this is the point you have to take on board. That data is not corrected unless there was a reason to correct it. Right? The corrections they're talking about would happen if there was a reason for it. And what would create that reason would be a lot of maneuvering of the plane, right? Would create that reason for the correction to have to happen. But that's not a correction to the data. That's a correction, that's an actual mechanical correction to the gyro that's being talked about. So when the gyro is out of alignment, it is corrected back by the mercury and the torques. Right, that's what correct. That's what. So it's not that the data is corrected and then given to you as like after some kind of mathematical correction. That's an actual correction that's happening to the gyro. And it's ignored by the data because the whole purpose of the gyro is to do this. The whole purpose of the gyro is to create the horizontal and hold the constant. So they ignore it they are going to ignore those times when it does happen because it's not a constant, it's periodical, and it happens only in planes that are doing a lot of maneuvering and banking, not a commercial airliner. So that's when it will happen. And they would ignore it in the pitch data simply because they would ignore it simply because it's not relevant. It's because the gyro itself has been recorrected mechanically. And that is so they have a constant horizontal to work with. So they know if the plane is then 4 degrees below that horizontal when it's supposed to be 3 degrees above it. They know that, then they can read the back box data. But the problem they have is that will only depend on the gyro in the plane. So the plane that we have the pitch data from, right, does that use does the spin of that gyro in the attitude indicator of that plane, is that using this system or is it using the pendulous vanes? They're two different systems.
You've already covered this, but who cares? It's referenced to horizontal. That's what it's corrected to if there's an issue. Who cares?
I know that, but this is like a situation where Dave McKeegan was coming up with some of this stuff. But all of that would mean absolutely nothing unless he could reference those exact maneuvers to that plane, and that plane is using that system, because more than likely it's not. It's using the pendulous vane system, and the gyro within the attitude indicator of that plane is being spun by the movement of air and not electrically spun.
Fine. I mean, if you guys argue the toss with this, that's fine. But from my perspective, just regardless if you want to call me lazy or whatever you want to take me for doing it in this way.
I have to stop you.
Go on.
It's not arguing the toss. Right, it's important to cover these things because these are the things that when you're out there on the circuit and someone turns up in a public situation.
I keep on topic, and you're telling me about what argue the toss means. Look, you know what I'm talking about. Arguing it, right? I don't care how you phrase it, right? What I'm asking is, in terms of how I see this, and even if you disagree, regardless, right? What we have are the measurements from the NTSB. And the measurements are with respect to horizontal, a flat plane of reference, sea level, and pitch up with respect to those things axiomatically tied to the surface being flat. Now, those things are on the measurements. That's what it's measuring. There's no contesting this. Now, beyond those absolute facts, the measurements are of a flat Earth. But beyond those facts, you can try, that is to say, attempt to convince me, I don't care why you were trying to convince me, that the measurements are corrected, adjusted, altered. They're not. They're raw. That's what's being studied by the NTSB. I don't care what people want to try and convince me of when it comes to their belief in regards to these raw measurements. They're raw measurements. I don't care what you think about gyros automatically correcting to Earth curve. You can believe that, but that is not what's in the measurements, and it's going to require you telling me to believe that the straight line shown is a self-corrected curve line. You can believe that. It's just not in the measurements. So I'll just keep looking at the measurements going, That's not what's in the measurements. And you can scream at me till you're blue in the face going, the measurements are self-corrected from the curve that isn't in the measurements. Well, there just isn't a curve in the measurements, regardless of your belief in it self-correcting. I don't care. That's not what's measured, is my attitude, Brian.
Yeah, but you're missing the point, Nathan. When you're sitting there on some big podcast or some show and someone's talking to you about your book and someone brings up this topic which likely is going to happen and you don't know the ins and outs of it, there's no point in you saying
why are you assuming I don't know the ins and outs of it?
That is pointless because you're going to look like you don't know what you're talking about.
I do know what I'm talking about. Why would you assume that I don't? Okay, yes, Brian. If I get onto some podcast and somebody asks me about some aviation topic that I haven't got the slightest clue about, and I go, I know all about this, yes, I'll concede that that'll make me look very stupid when I then don't know what I'm talking about. But in this regard, I don't think I'm being stupid when I just look down at the measurements and go, but the measurements show it's flat. That's how it's measured. It is. I'm not making that up. And I've only got to refer back to the measurements and the facts of the measurements. Now, what I'm being told, like I'm asking to be told anything, I'm not. I've already got the measurements. I don't need you anymore. Thank you for telling me. What's that? You need to tell me that the straight, flat measurements have got a self-correcting curve in them. And I need to understand how gyro self-correct for Earth curve. Yeah, my response. That's just me looking down at the measurements. In other words, I don't have to say anything verbally. I can just look at the measurements and shrug my shoulders at their belief that we've got self-correcting gyros. Now, do I need to tell them, as a flat Earth evangelist, you're wrong, that's not how gyros work? Yeah, don't care. I didn't ask them to bring me the information in the first place, and if they want to believe they've got self-correcting gyros, they can. They're not, and that's not what's on the measurements, and I don't care if they want to... I don't need interrupting either, Neil, thanks. I don't care if they want to look at the measurements of a flat Earth and believe that there's a self-correcting gyro. They can believe that all they like. They just need to stop trying to convince me of it. I've got the measurements. We checked. It's flat. That's how it's measured. We checked. What's that? You don't like the measurements? So I'm not accepting the self-correcting Earth curve gyros. No, I'm not going to accept that because it's not on the measurements. It's just that simple.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. You're missing the point.
Because 90% of 100% of the world, 90%, 99% think we're on a globe. So they hear that, and that's all they need to hear. Like false comparisons.
Sorry, what you're saying is
on a globe,
it's not convincing
it
enough.
Sense.
It's not convincing enough for me to explain why there isn't curve in there. I need to go to the effort of explaining why the lack of curve in the measurements isn't a lack of curve. It's actually a curve that's not corrected for in the flat frickin' measurements. I'm not going to do that. You can do that if you want to. When someone comes along and says, see this flat line that's measurement with respect to the horizontal plane of reference, nose up above horizontal, a flat Earth sea level, parallel flight level. When someone tells me, no, you don't understand, Nathan, you haven't got a curve in there because the curve that would be in there if we'd measured any curve is self-correcting, so it eradicates the curve, ergo it's flat. What I take from that, if that's what they were telling me, was, so what you're saying is the end result that's used as a measurement to investigate death is flat. I didn't need you to point that out to me. I've got a set of eyeballs. I can look at it. I know it's flat. It's measured that way. Just to add, we checked Earth's flat. It's measured that way. That's why it's on the graph that way. And I don't care if you say I need to understand why the curve that isn't on the graph, not measured, not Earth, should be curved but isn't because of reasons. I couldn't care less anymore. Take your reasons, shove them up your ass. Couldn't care less. Oh, it won't convince others. The rest of the world would want to hear out that non-curving flat line that's measuring Earth should have a curve but doesn't because gyro self. I don't care. You can go through that nonsense with them. I won't.
Let me show you the false comparison.
No, that's not the point. It's not the point. That's not the point, Nathan. The point is that when one of them comes at me with the same thing, I'll be able to make them look foolish. But they'll be able to make you look foolish because you think it's not important.
How are they going to make me foolish?
I tried, Neil. What can I do?
What's going on? Why is it suddenly that in a scenario where I've got measurements of a flat Earth, I'm suddenly being suggested to be made to look foolish by somebody else who's going to tell me that I don't understand how the flat Earth measurements aren't flat because the curve that isn't there has been corrected for? I don't care. That's not going to make me look foolish. You're wrong.
Well, it'll make it look foolish is that when they start bringing up stuff and you obviously don't know how to address it, and the audience will think that they know what they're talking about then, and you don't know what you're talking about, even though what you're saying is true.
What you're saying
It
is
doesn't
somebody
matter,
might be
though,
able to
you
hoodwink
don't
the
even know
audience. Somebody might be able to overcome the flat Earth measurements in the pitch data because they can hoodwink the audience by telling them that the measurements that are flat should have curve, but it's been corrected away in the measurements. And that'll make me look stupid, right?
It will to the eyes of the audience who are already believers in that paradigm.
Well, then there is
Exactly.
no pleasing you, Brian.
How are you?
Hello.
All right. I'm okay. Happy days. Always in a good mood when my neighbour lends us her dog. So in this case, she had a relative coming over from Oz, and she's just like, my relative wants me to keep him awake by entertaining him for a few hours. Can you have my dog so I can take him out and keep him from getting jet lag? And I'm like, yeah, of course. Kids love playing with the little sausage dog.
Yeah, but that leads to a permanent dog. Eventually, they're going to want their own doggy.
Well, they can't have one. It's like a care dog, whatever you call those assistance type dogs. And because this is an apartment, there's no pets allowed here. So that's an exception, obviously, if somebody is in need of a medical dog. I don't know what the term is, but it's one of those. Anyway,
Yeah, they're working dogs.
it's a working dog, which means that it's incredibly well behaved, and it does, it's there for her comfort or whatever. So it's just incredibly comforting and loving dog, and it's really, really nice to have around. Anyway, not that anyone wants to hear about dogs. In the pre-show, we were talking about this this attempt to come to us with information to challenge the flat Earth measurements in pitch data. Now, my attitude towards this, which may be challenged by Brian in about 30 seconds from now, is that I don't care. Earth's measured flat in the data, and it requires some wizardry for you to convince me, like I'm asking you to be convinced, of an alteration occurring in the flat Earth measurements. That is to say, the flat line measuring a flat Earth with respect to the horizontal plane of reference and the surface level and flight level that are utilised in this data are somehow altered before they're measured. So there's a curve that isn't in the data that would be in the data, but for the measurements not being raw and having been altered so that the curve that would be there isn't there. Now, when that happens, I'm just rolling my eyes thinking, I don't care if you're trying to convince me of this wizardry. I haven't asked you for it. I'm not asking anybody for anything. What I have done is said, if you want to get in touch with the NTSB and say, oi, you haven't got raw data here that you're investigating deaths with, I wouldn't be so bold. I absolutely understand unequivocally that the raw measurements of a flat Earth with respect to sea level are what they are. And I trust the NTSB aren't duping anybody with corrected data. They've got raw data. It's just a measurement of a flat Earth that they're presenting because they're dealing with people's deaths and they don't mess around when it comes to this stuff. But you can challenge them if you choose to. As for me, I'm not asking anybody to bring me anything. I've got the measurements of Earth. It's flat. We checked. What's that you want to tell me otherwise? I don't care. What's that? The gyro deviates from a horizontal plane of reference, the main useful aspect that it offers, because it's correcting for Earth curve that's not in the measurements. So I need to understand that I'm stupid and don't understand that this straight, flat line measuring a surface level of Earth isn't a surface level of Earth. It's a surface curve of Earth when they measure sea level, actually sea curve. You can believe that. I'm not asking you. We've checked. Earth's measured flat. We've got the measurements. You telling me that the measurements are wrong isn't really going to fly. I'm not asking you to tell me anything. But feel free to correct the NTSB that their raw data ain't raw, according to you and your bull belief. That's up to you.
My question is, why wouldn't it show it? Right, Brian? Why wouldn't it show it?
It
They got
isn't
no
showing it.
excuse
Who
for that.
cares? I'm not going to ask why it's not showing unicorns in the flat Earth data that measures Earth's surface for crashes. I'm not asking why it's not got stuff in it. I accept that what's there is what it is, and why it's not got Earth curve in it isn't my concern. It hasn't. Who cares why they say it hasn't? Oh, they say it's because it's already self-corrected and vanished. I don't care. I'm not asking you to tell me why it's not in there. It isn't in there. We measure Earth flat with this data. Earth's flat, we checked. That's how it's measured. Your apologies aren't needed anymore. We don't need you. Thanks.
Yeah, no. What they're putting forward is a correction system, an actual correction system, not some mathematical correction to the data, an actual correction system to the gyro when the gyro loses horizontal. It's a correction system using Mercury and Hawk to correct it back to horizontal. And this is within gyros that are, horizontal gyros in attitude indicators that are powered electrically, not the ones that are powered via air and vacuum. It's not for, they use pendulous vanes. This is another system separate from that for a gyro that's powered with electricity only, just purely the spin of it is electrically powered, right? So the point is that what this system does is when there is an issue, right, when not, and it even says it in it, not under normal conditions, this will be a situation that happens not with commercial airliners, hardly at all. It would be with fighter jets and smaller planes, doing a lot of banking and moving and maneuvering. The fighter jets sometimes end up upside down, you name it. Like, so that system is there because they're using electricity to power that gyro. If they were using air and vacuum, they don't need that system because they have pendulous vanes. The whole purpose of it is to correct the gyro back to horizontal.
And how do you do that, Brian? It says how you do it in there by the pilot flying straight and level flight.
No, hang on. You don't. The system corrects, Neil.
Yeah, but the pilot has to be driving straight and level for a distance. I read it.
Look, you
just
want
wait
me
till
to
the
come
end,
in and talk
Neil.
on
Just
these
let him get to the
matters?
end. Go ahead, Brian.
You want me to come in and talk on these matters, then you talk straight through me, Neil.
Oh,
I didn't mean to. I'm just saying what I
Neil,
read was as long as the
step off for a
pilot
sec.
keeps
Just stay
straight
silent.
level
Neil,
flight, then it corrects it.
Neil. That was he's telling you off rhetorically so he can carry on. He doesn't need a response.
What the freak? Forget.
Neil's getting annoyed.
The point I'm trying to make is this is a correction system for gyros that are powered electrically only. They don't have the vacuum and air system. The vacuum and air system gyros in an attitude indicator have the pendulous vanes. This is for ones that are powered purely electrically. This is the system to correct them. The whole purpose of it is to correct back to horizontal. So the pilots have a correct horizontal to work with for their pitch and for other things, for their bank and their roll. That's why, that's the whole purpose of it. That's what it's not something that's it's a continuous correction. Because if it was a continuous correction, then it couldn't work because we wouldn't have horizontal. You understand what I mean? This is something that happens when it's necessary to happen. And I can guarantee you it happens hardly never in commercial airliners. And most of those commercial airliners don't even have that system. Most of them will probably have the air and vacuum system and pendulous vanes. What it is they're trying to hijack, or they're trying to make it out as if there's some mathematical correction happening to the data, when it's not. The correction is happening to the gyro, so the data is then clear and correct. Because they can't fly with a gyro that's out of alignment. If they follow that gyro and it's out of alignment, they won't be able to fly. That's why the C systems are there. Because the gyro, the spin of the gyro creates precession. And when you have that precession and you have the maneuvers that a jet fighter or a smaller plane would make, then you are likely to knock the gyro out of alignment. That's why the likes of pendulous vanes and this system here from Sperry, that's why these systems were created to stop the plane losing horizontal. That's the purpose of it. What they're actually doing is they're actually proving their point and they don't realize it.
Yes, the corrections will be to the horizontal that's axiomatically tied to the graph, the measurements, the surface level, the plane being in level flight, everything about every measurement on the graph. When they attempt to deviate by saying, here we go, here's an example of a broken gyro. And that's because it wasn't correcting for the Earth curve that it always corrects for. Now it's faulty. You're like, no, every single correction that the plane will have remained with as a result of the other instruments achieved level flight, as we already know and have measured in pitch data. I mean, like I say, this argument is created like all things in flat Earth. We've figured out the game. The game is to make axiomatic principles of Earth that is flat and being measured as such seem like there's an argument to be had. So when we look at a flat line with a flat Earth, with a flat surface level and a flat parallel eye level and a flat flight level, you go, well, that's because you don't understand. Now I need to explain to you how ball-shaped this would be if it wasn't being corrected. Didn't you know that gyros correct for Earth curve? You're like, Yeah, I don't care. We've got measurements. It's flat. We checked. So you can
Well,
feel free. But Brian, will explain it to me so I don't end up making myself look stupid by not understanding the different principles of these corrective measures that they will take in gyroscopic action to remain horizontal. That's the gyroscopic motion that may come under stress and become misaligned through mechanical limitations. But these can be corrected for and would be measured for if they were to show up in the pitch data that we have already checked is measuring a flat Earth with. Axiomatically, it can't be anything else. We've already checked. But these people think that we need to be told this, like we care. I mean, I suggested that if anybody wanted to get in touch with the NTSB because they're suggesting their raw data they investigate death with isn't raw data, it's already been corrected, then they'd be wrong, and it would be absurd to get in touch with the NTSB in such a manner. I wouldn't dare, because I know that they're dealing with raw data and their measurements are of a flat Earth. It's axiomatically tied to every single measurement on their graph. So I don't need to ask anybody for anything. I'm good. I've got the measurements of Earth already. We checked it's flat. But you can argue with us. That's the whole game, isn't it? Brian, you moaned about bloody Neil interrupting your second interruption now. Go ahead, Neil. Brian, my bad. Get you two confused sometimes.
That's Neil. That's not me.
Oh, was it? Was that you interrupting me, Neil?
Trying to get a freaking word in. If
what you mean is you've interrupted me and Neil.
To.
Neil, you're interrupting. That's why everyone's telling you off.
You stopped about 5 times and I tried. You know what? I'll raise my hand if I could, but I lost that when we switched to teams. All I'm trying to say is when I read page 6 and 7, whatever's going on, as long as the pilot remains in straight and level flight, it'll correct itself back to whatever it's doing. That's what I'm reading, unless I'm reading it wrong.
No, you're not reading it wrong. And Neil, you were agreed with immediately after you dropped. Brian wanted to make the point. It's just stepping on him while he's making the point and wants it to be understood that he's checked this out, he's researched it, and he's just telling me and you, we haven't done any of this research. So the fact that we can listen, comprehend, and repeat it back to him isn't satisfactory for Brian. Understandably so, given he's done all the work.
Well, I come in, you're not talking. So I don't mean to cut you off, Brian.
Like you just did.
Well, you just did there again. The point is, Neil, is that what I want to say about what you just said. What has been said in that document is false. How can the pilots be flying straight and level? How do they know if it's straight and level if you have a gyro showing an incorrect horizontal? Not showing horizontal. Do you know what I mean? That's wrong. The way I've worded it is wrong. Whoever wrote that, they actually used the word vertical when they should have used horizontal when they were speaking about the attitude indicator as well. No, the correction system corrects it back to horizontal. That's what happens. If the pilots just fly? No, that's not going to do it. If it was just that, then they wouldn't need the correction system at all. You know what I mean?
So you're saying after it's corrected, then the pilot maintains straight and level flight?
Yeah, but they don't know if they're maintaining straight and level flight beforehand if they don't have the correct gyro to work with.
Yeah, you can't be nose up with respect to horizontal if horizontal bends, and axiomatically it's tied to every measurement. So what Brian's saying is, if you're going to correct something that's going wrong, what are you going to correct it to? What's the correction? Well, we're trying to remain with respect to this tool that gives you a horizontal plane of reference when it's spun up. That's its point. That's its only job. It's its raison d'etre. That's what it does. What's that? No, it actually corrects to gravity. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can believe that, guys, if you want to. We weren't asking. I understand how frickin' gyro works, and I understand what they're using it for in aviation. I also understand every axiomatic principle that's tied to it, like straight and level flight, like surface level and sea level. Those things don't need correcting. I don't need telling about this crap, yeah? You numpties with a ball belief, you've got a problem here. What's the problem? Well, we measure Earth flat. Oh, it's just us not understanding how the curve that measured has been self-correct. No. This is your problem. We checked. It's measured flat. We're good, thanks. Don't need any more help from you.
Well, I was attacking there, Nathan, was the actual document itself. Hey, Chocolate. Everything's good. One second, I'll leave you in there. I just want to say to Nathan, I was correct. I was attacking the document itself. Because the document, according to what Neil was saying there, the pilot just flies straight and level, and the gyro then corrects to that. No. How does the pilot know that they're flying straight and level if the gyro was incorrect? The gyro tells them what horizontal is. So if the gyro is not showing horizontal, then the pilots can't be flying straight and level. Well, my point is that this is another problem. I just pointed out the horizontal and vertical mix-up within it. This is another problem within that document, where whoever wrote it didn't seem to know what they're talking about. Because how can they be flying straight and level if they don't have a horizontal to determine what straight and level is? They can't fly straight and level if the gyro is showing something that isn't horizontal. They won't be flying straight and level because that's their reference. That is their reference for straight and level. So when the gyro is corrected, then they can fly straight and level. But while that gyro is incorrectly aligned, they won't be flying correctly straight and level. They can't be. So that what was read out there by Neil, if that's what's in the document, that's ridiculous. That's illogical.
But just to summarise,
there's
quite a few axiomatic principles that Brian's just described. I mean, in case you guys who are getting all stressed out about this, worry about how we're describing these things. It's not like you're going to have to just deal with the gyroscopic action. You've got to describe how something that's attaining straight and level flight isn't straight and level. How the elevation above sea level isn't an elevation and isn't sea level. So every single axiomatic principle that's tied to these measurements isn't going to suddenly bend. And if you deal with one, you're not going to suddenly unbend or bend something that's changed and been self-corrected in one of the others. Every principle that's used in avionics ties itself to Earth being measured flat. There's no exceptions here. Like I say, we're chill, we're cool now. We're done. We figured it out. I wasn't joking when I said it in 5 videos ago. Yeah, the debate's over. I noticed it got me about 10 adverts. And that is where we as flat earthers actually kick back and relax, because every measurement of Earth is flat. And all we have to now listen to is irritating idiots telling us how we don't understand how a flat Earth measurement isn't really flat. It's only flat because, at which point you should just switch off and roll your eyes. It's only a flat Earth measurement because we haven't got the corrections that have already been done to the gyro that would show curve if they hadn't already been corrected. That's the argument. Sorry, there wasn't an argument to begin with. Bloody hell, Brian. I'm nearly done. Thank you, Brian. No, we don't need you to tell us what isn't being corrected for that would have been corrected for, or lie about tools that do correct using things like mercury switches and pendulous vanes, and suggest that those systems that are correcting when a plane's in a tight bank are actually not self-correcting when in normal use. Yeah, we understand the arguments that you need to have to make it seem like what we've actually just got, yeah, it's a flat Earth measurement that the plane's given us from the black box, and it's used to investigate death. That's it. The argument's over. There never was an argument Earth got measured flat in that data, and I don't need some numpty to tell me why it isn't the curve that isn't in the measurement, because the correction isn't needing to be shown in the measurement of a flat Earth. No, there'll just be another axiomatic flat Earth measurement principle in that graph, like surface level, sea level, straight and level flight. All of these things will always be a flat Earth measurement, regardless of you suggesting that gyroscopic action's actually self-correcting gravitational curve motion. That's not. I'm not an idiot. I know what a gyro is. Yeah? Remaining rigid in space is what it does and what's used, not tying itself to a curve that's based around a gravity that was debunked 110 years ago. That's not what gyros do. Yeah? That's not what they're being used for. We get it. We checked. Earth's measured flat. Don't need your help anymore, thanks, fundies.
Sorry, Nathan. What I was coming in to say was that what they're claiming is the data is showing that it's not measured flat. That it's not locally flat. That's what they're basically saying. The data is showing that it's not locally flat.
Yeah, that's not what the data isn't. Well, then they're lying, because that is not what it is measuring. Now,
no, I'm not. I'm talking about what they're actually trying to say. They're actually trying to. They're literally admitting.
Please don't tell me what they're trying to say. I don't need it. I don't need to hear people telling me what they're trying to say. right? If you've got a quote that says that they're trying to say something, not a quote that they're trying to say, that they're actually saying that it's not locally flat. No, that's not what they're trying to say.
No, that's not what I said. Listen to me. What they're saying concerning the data is that data is not just, the data is not showing locally flat. They're admitting by what their argument is that the data is showing it to be totally flat. But there's local corrections that aren't in the data. That's what they're trying to infer.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, as I say, I'm kind of switching off and rolling my eyes, not at you, Brian, but at the fact that we're discussing this. I mean, it's fine. We're great, wonderful. We're getting to go through with the audience what the issue is. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't need anybody to be telling me how the topographical measurements that might be of interest that would have been accounted for aren't being accounted for, therefore it's only the plane of reference that would have been corrected to if the machine wasn't working or was. I didn't need any of this. Now, I know when you're in the pre-show you're saying, well, no, if you're in front of somebody and you're promoting the book and somebody comes up to you and starts talking about self-correcting gyroscopic motion, and I haven't got a clue about how a gyro works in avionics, and I'm appealing to the gyroscope in avionics in pitch data, then you're suggesting that, well, you'll get shown your ass. Well, yeah, that might be the case. If someone wants to embarrass me and are going out of their way to pick a topic that I obviously have no expertise in, I'm not a pilot. But I can look at a graph and I know what surface level is. I can look at a graph and I know what pitch is, and I know what it's measured with respect to. That's horizontal. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what's been measured on that data. Now, if you're saying somebody will know better than you and tell me about the self-correcting gyroscopes, again, I'll just reiterate it to camera. I'll just roll my eyes. If somebody's trying to do that with me and they're trying to get a gotcha because they're saying, I know better than you, gyroscopic motion's actually self-correcting gravitational motion, I'd be like, can you show me that in a measurement? What are they going to do? Well, they're going to start telling me why it isn't in the measurement. So what is in the measurement? Well, flat Earth. I already knew. I didn't need any help with that. I can read.
No, you missed.
You're going to understand.
You missed the point of what I was saying. You're after misaligning what I said.
This time, this show, you told me I've missed the point.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Because what I was trying to say to you is if you will learn about it, they can't then do that. But you don't care. You're just allowing the possibility of them being able to bullshit the audience and make you look stupid. And I told you at the end of the pre-show, okay, then do whatever you want. That's what actually happened.
Okay, thanks. So, and your decision is to keep telling me that I'm going to, in a hypothetical scenario that hasn't happened, get made to look stupid 5 times. Well, thank you, Brian. It's really helpful that you've reiterated that 5 times to me in this hypothetical scenario that hasn't happened. Really appreciate it.
Well, if the hypothetical scenario comes up with me, it won't happen because I've actually learned about it. Something you could also do, but you don't want that. It's on you.
Okay. I've spent 10 years learning the subject. I don't really get it. Why is it that suddenly every single failure in my knowledge is suddenly being held up to task because I'm going to go out and promote a book shortly? It's like, okay, what you're saying is, I mean, I should take it another way. Oh, that's really sweet, Brian. You're just looking out for my best interests, right?
Nathan, why I'm saying it is because you're going to be claimed, they're going to claim, and you are claiming simultaneously with your book to be an expert on the situation. And if you can't deal with something like that successfully...
Let's just clear that up first. I am an expert on this subject. So are you.
Yeah, flat Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get you to be... I was really trying to get you to see what they're doing and so you'll have a bit of ammunition if the time does come up.
I get that.
Because if they think you don't know what you're talking about there or haven't paid proper attention to it, that's exactly what they're going to come at you with. Publicly.
Yeah, I get that. A lack of knowledge can get you to be made to look stupid, but using me as your hypothetical muse 6 times for this specific example, it's like, okay. So do you feel I still don't understand? Because I do.
You don't, unfortunately. You're not understanding what the point I'm trying to get across to you. And I can't... I didn't even want to even go into this on the live show. The point I was trying to get across to you is don't allow yourself don't put yourself into a position where you're open to attack there. Have the facts of the matter
I've opened the door to
understood
that
so
10
you can
years,
take
right?
it apart and make them look stupid, not the other way around.
That's 7th time Brian's done that this show. Okay, so I might look stupid. Thanks, Brian. So I opened the door 10 years. Ridicule, potential. Open the door every day. Right now, someone could interrupt me from Discord, couldn't they? This second.
Absolutely. But you're on your own show. This is not a separate show.
So that's not enough. All right. So everyone else who's shielded from numpties just walking through the front door, they're better than me? I'm not training myself daily to allow numpties through the door that can ridicule me at any given moment. That's not enough. All right, maybe I should be on someone else's show daily then. What are you talking about?
No, that's not what I said.
Well, you're just being overly...
What I tried to do...
I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing it. It's just not pleasant. 7th time of being told, yeah, well, if you get it wrong, you'll be made to look stupid. Yeah, Brian, yeah. And if you don't wash, you'll be made to look dirty, Brian. You have washed today.
Okay, Nathan, okay. Do whatever the hell you want.
I will.
There you go. Absolutely. Off you go. And when the time comes, remember this. Because it may not be this, it might be something else that you couldn't be bothered learning about.
Why are you saying this? Why are you saying that I couldn't be bothered learning about it? We're having a show discussing it. You're here talking about it, but suddenly it's all 8th time about me not being willing to learn. Why am I suddenly some rebellious school child being belligerent in a class where I'm not listening? I'm not that person, but I've been made it 8 times so far by you on this show. What's going on?
No, I try not to bring it onto the live show. I talked in the pre-show. Try to leave it at that. You brought it back up in the live show. Now, okay, if you learn, what did I tell you? What did we discuss?
Oh, sorry, sir. I wasn't paying attention.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
There you go. Oh, you could do whatever you want. I know when that situation comes up with me, if it ever does, that I am prepared.
Okay. So what are you saying? You're better than me?
I put more effort in to learn. That's what I'm saying.
I see.
And I do it because that situation is likely to turn up. That's why I do it. That doesn't mean I'm better than you. I'm not saying anyone's better than anyone. But who would look better, Nathan, on that podcast, that big podcast? Who would look better?
Which
the
one?
person who deals with them and makes them look silly, or them making you look silly in front of the audience?
Well, why are we doing this? Why are you suddenly comparing yourself to me? I don't get it.
I'm not trying to compare myself to you. I don't know what's going on with you, Nathan. I really don't know what's going on with you. I've tried in the pre-show to point something out to you. The same thing I've tried to point out to you lots of times. Adam has tried to point it out to you. QE has tried to point it out. You are not interested in the details. You just want to have that one sentence that will overcome everything. But that one sentence won't overcome everything in the eyes of an audience. It's not always that simple. You need to have the detail there to address them. I have the details and understanding to address this successfully and show them to be completely wrong in front of an audience.
I understand. Okay, well, let me explain something, right? So it requires, often these sorts of things require a team of people to work symbiotically for a coherent product to be produced, for example. And after the product's been produced, you have to flog that product. Now, in my little way, what I used to do in that little chain was sell the product. Was I an engineer? Did I know how to produce the product? Did I understand the technical wizardry that went into producing the product from the stage that the designer, who would occasionally come into the factory and I'd shake his hand occasionally and talk to him, did I understand any of it? No. But did I have a broad enough knowledge across the board to be able to go into a dealer, a distributor, or even an end user's house sometimes, very rarely, and deal with their issue, problem, or flog them something? Yeah, you need a general jack-of-all-trades knowledge to be able to do that. Now, does that mean that in order for me personally, Brian's about to get big props, right? In order for me personally to do that, do I need people around me who do have the tenacity to knuckle down, as Brian's describing himself? And he does, I'm not going to disagree with him. do the research so I can listen to him give me the précis version, the shortened, not necessarily that concise with Brian version, but you know what I'm talking about. The understanding that he's acquired in this regard because he has debated with the trolls, whereas I've given them short shrift and gone, I don't care, it's mission flat, which annoys Brian. But for my brazen brushing off of the competitor, the opponent that Brian's dealing with to acquire this knowledge or acquire his own understanding of his shortfall in his own knowledge to go out and actually understand and research what he needs to know to overcome some of these objections. Brian's saying, well, you don't do that. Therefore, you'll fall victim to next man if they have a overarching understanding of avionics in this particular regard, right? I'd say no. That's happened. I've often gone out when I've been in front of somebody with much, much higher technical understanding of something that I'm selling than I have. So how do you overcome that problem and deal with that person? Well, you just be honest. If in that moment, when this hypothetical scenario that Brian's described as a podcast, I'm in front of somebody and they're describing avionics and they definitely know more about it than I do, and they've got me in a gotcha situation, I just have to be honest. I don't know. I'll have to check with somebody who knew more about avionics than I do in this particular scenario. But will it alter what I listen to in terms of their argumentation? No. I'm good at that. Listening to what actually is being put across in terms of their presentation of their point, which is that any of the axiomatic principles in the avionic measurements that I've already got would need to bend, and they don't. Now, does that mean that somebody who's catching me out in this case, if it was 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours ago, when I haven't got the lowdown on how they've decided to come at us with this argument, like we need coming at, go to the NTSB with this data if you think that they're making these corrections, by the way. They're not. But Brian's saying, well, I've listened to their arguments and I know how to overcome it. And what I have overcome it with is a correction that actually is axiomatically tied to a flat earth that they need to correct too. And I need you to understand that. It just seems wrong that Brian's had to do the research while I'm doing other things, right? Making videos, raising kids, whatever it is that would be unfair to Brian for me to just say, no, I don't have to pay attention to this information that you're researching. Because in the same scenario, Brian would be able to overcome it on the spot. I'd have to put my hands in the air and say, no, I didn't know this mercury switched-based system existed. I just thought it was in an extreme circumstance for a plane that's got the vacuum-based system, what they'd call pendulous vanes. This is new to me. I'd have to look into it. Does it alter any of the axiomatic measurements of Earth's surface as a sea level or change the flight levels? That would be what I'd have to mumble my way through with my hands in the air with a lack of knowledge. But my objection to you personally, Brian, is that you're phrasing it in such a way that is like, well, you're not as good as me. It's like, well, why are you doing that? There's no need for that.
That's not what he said.
I'm not phrasing it that way at all. That's how you're choosing to hear it, Nathan. What I'm trying to say to you is that you're putting yourself in a position where you can be made look foolish, potentially,
9 times,
because of you don't want to pay attention to the details. It's not that what you're saying is incorrect.
Well, it's the 9th time you've suggested this. Now, I don't not want to pay attention to details, right? Number one, there's only so many hours in the day. Number two, I'll pay attention to details all day long, and so they make a coherent line of thoughts in my own head. I've got to pay attention to them. I'm not giving you short shrift. I'm not telling you not to tell me, and I'm not decrying the importance of it. I'm also pointing out that there is always going to be that shortcut. Now, you don't like that, basically, is what I've summarised from this discussion. When I say, yeah, but Earth's still measured flat in the data, you're saying, don't give me short shrift. This could come up on a podcast. That's what you're basically saying, right?
No, what I'm saying is that you saying that won't mean anything if the opposition there can give the audience the impression that they know what they're talking about and you don't. You saying that means to the audience that, well, that can't mean anything because he obviously doesn't understand the situation. Yeah. This other person who does understand the situation. So it's about the
let me just
audience.
Address that then. Okay, fine. Yeah. You and I, in this regard, both have the same credentials. I've got 10 years under my belt in this subject, Brian. I don't need anybody to tell me that I'm not qualified in terms of my education of flat Earth. I know what I know. I've been doing it for 10 years. And I don't need somebody to tell me whether or not I'm an expert. I am. So are you. Now, you've got different expertise fields to me. Mine's far more jack of all trades in general. But that doesn't mean that if I'm in front of somebody, even if it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's got more years on me in this subject, wouldn't mean I'd be in any way fearful of what I absolutely know, being an expert in this subject. or that I need their validation in terms of their ability to overcome something in my repertoire that I don't have 100% knowledge of. I have no knowledge of avionics. Yeah? Doesn't mean I can't read a graph. I read it. We checked. Earth's measured flat. That's what the black box data shows. Now, does that mean that I'm not going to pay attention when you give me an exceptional argument in terms of the corrections that these instruments make to the horizontal? Yeah, I'm going to pay attention to that, Brian. It's juicy. And I thank you for it. What I don't thank you for is 9 times telling me that I'm going to look stupid. Just no need for that. Just stop doing it. I don't know why you do it.
I'm not
It's
telling
irritating.
you. I'm not trying to make you feel like you're stupid.
I don't.
Put myself one up above you or anything like that. I'm trying to point out to you that there's details of this little thing here, just this one thing. There's not a whole lot in it to understand. If you just put a little bit of effort in to understand it, I don't even mind going through it with you, then you won't be put in that position. I'm going to help you defend yourself.
No, I get that.
Because
I'm grateful.
You're going to be
where
representing me when you're out there.
Give you props.
I'm QB and Adam and everyone else.
I get it, right? And I'm glad we've had this conversation because this undertone, right, from my ghostwriters, right? They're leaning into it a bit too much. Need whipping back into line in many respects. But my book that's being edited with a lot of help is getting me a tone, let's just call it, right, from some of the people who are helping me. And I get it, they're putting a lot of work in. But that tone is, you need to understand what we've refined in your book. I'm starting to get the message now, right? Where there's been refinement in my book, the people that are being labelled ghostwriters, they're not. They're helping me edit my book and my words and my text and my information. But when they refine it, that is to say, make it more pure, they want me to understand implicitly the distilled version. And I don't. Well, I'm not a distiller. I don't understand how the refinery process works. Well, you should. If I did, I wouldn't need your help, would I? That's the point. Where there's refinement to be had in a certain specialist subject matter that I've covered in my book, and it's been refined by people more knowledgeable than myself, I'll acknowledge them. Like, there's going to be certain acknowledgements I'll have to give in the book because of exactly this. It doesn't alter that it's my book, as much as people want to suggest that the people helping me edit it have become my ghostwriters, and I'll lean into it, and so will they. But there's a disdain that I'm more concerned with. It's like, why am I getting heat and aggression almost from the people helping me? And it's because, as I've just said, the refined version of what has been refined is now expected of me. That is to say that the exemplary information that has been refined, it's past tense now, it's been done in the book, is going to be expected of me if I'm on a podcast. And there's no way of saying to somebody who's just spent a lot of time putting their exemplary, that's to say better than my knowledge, into refining a specific subject matter in my book, that I need to offer them assurances that, no, I'm going to understand it in the way that you have had to understand it to be able to refine it beyond my expertise. That needs acknowledgement and will get acknowledgement. Like I say, there will be certain people who get acknowledged in my book moving forward. But as we get to the end of our tethers with it, because we've all been doing it for bloody years now, that is to say, the book has gone through many, many revisions with lots of different people helping edit each revision. And as it's done so, it's got better each time. But there is a certain expectation on my shoulders as a result of those refinements that, I've got no issue meeting those expectations. I just don't want Brian's suggested idea that I'm lazy or don't want to go into the nitty-gritty of these subject matters that I've had help refining. Because I do. I'm more than willing. And after 10 years of learning this subject, I'm more than confident to go toe-to-toe with anybody they put in front of me in a podcast, Brian. No worries. I'm just watching.
Your confidence is not in question, Nathan.
There we go. Is he going to make it 10?
Yeah. It's not your confidence that's in question. It's your competence in a situation where someone brings up that Mercury switches situation, and can you successfully show them to be wrong and show them to not understand the situation? Because I can't.
Yeah, I got that. And if it was the case, Brian, that it was, I don't know, a year ago, and the answer was no, I'd just have to be able to have the humility to say, I don't understand this aspect that this particular opponent has put to me. Does it alter any of my argumentation? No. Will it make that
Yes, it
particular
does.
point? Oh my God. Will it make that particular point be a win for that particular audience member at that particular moment that wants the bias to lean against me? Well, no. I mean, it is what it is. That is how things go sometimes. You can only hope that you'll do as good a job as you can possibly do.
But that's what you're missing. Whatever you say then concerning the data and concerning flight won't mean anything because you look to an ignorant audience. You look like someone who doesn't understand what they're
10 times
talking.
you've said I'm stupid, ignorant. I don't get it, Brian. It's just not fun listening to you tell me this. I got your point. Thanks, Brian. Can we move on now? As much as it is fun to listen to you tell me about how
Absolutely.
gaps in my expertise are going to make me look stupid. Thanks. Yes, you may look smelly if you don't wash, Brian. Just make sure you wash every single time you appear on camera because you don't want to look smelly. I'm not saying you don't wash, but obviously you wouldn't want to stink, would you, Brian? Or look stinky, or be perceived to be stinky. It's just a perception of stinkiness. It's just a perception of stinkiness.
I said at the end of the pre-show, whatever, do whatever you want.
I'm not saying I
back
don't want to
up,
get the
not me.
information either. I don't want to piss you off, right? I understand. You do a lot of this research. I don't have time to. That's the simple bottom line. So that's why I'm aggrieved. It's like, well, what do you want me to do? Make a hole in my schedule to sit down and study this stuff? Because there isn't one. Literally, there isn't
Well,
one.
how can you represent me then? How can you go out there and represent me in QE and Aaron?
Well, you do it then.
I will. Absolutely.
Okay.
Problem solved.
Okay, no worries. You're okay if I do it as well, like for me and my family, and paying them and feeding them and keeping the roof over
You
my
can
head?
do
Is it okay
whatever you
if I
want,
still
but
do
my
that?
point is,
In spite of
you can do whatever
your
you want.
constant incessant interruptions and your disappointment in me, will you be all right if I still go out anyway, in spite of how disappointed you might be retrospectively, or with foresight? There might be something that makes me look stupid, and that might reflect badly on you. So you need to tell me about it 10 times. Yeah, thanks.
Well, you asked me a question, Nathan. I came in to answer the question, and then you call that an interruption. I wasn't trying to interrupt you. You asked me a question. And my answer, well, you said, what? So it's okay if I went and do it. You do whatever you want. But you can't represent me if you're going to be allowing yourself to be open like that.
Okay.
That's
what
not
are
me.
you, when you say I can't represent you, what is it that you are that I can't represent then?
Well, I am the backbone of this. I'm part of the backbone. I'm not all of the backbone. I'm part of the backbone of FE. There's nobody in the world that I'm aware of who has more information on the subject than me. There might be a couple, there's Adam and obviously Kiri and that, who have as much. I don't know who else is out there. But I can confidently say that you don't have as much.
I'd agree.
And that's on your back. That's not causing me. Is it?
No.
You can't tell an audience, I don't have time to learn all these things. But how are you going to represent the audience then?
I can't know everything. That's not possible.
Yeah, you
just
can
have
know
to have-
everything, but you're basically saying to the audience, look, I don't know all this stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
How can you represent the audience then?
Just as honestly as I possibly can. So if I'm in front of an audience and somebody's interviewing me, they're like, why don't you know about gyros? Because I've never flown a plane. I've never really needed to learn any of this stuff. But as a flat earther, my limited expertise has led me to certain information that's documented about how the surface of Earth is measured. It's called pitch data. Would you like me to explain what I've discovered? Or are you going to grill me on how the flaps work? Because I got to be honest, I don't really know how the flaps work either. But you could grill me on those and make me look stupid by not knowing how flaps work. You could do that. But I mean, going to be honest, I don't know how the flaps work. Or the ailerons.
Yeah, but this comes back to the part, what I pointed out some days ago. I think it was a week ago. You are straight away heading into a debate, right? Now, obviously, there's going to be a need for that, and there is a need for that, right? But is it not better to be able to answer the question within that?
Of course.
Rather than out debating the
No, Brian. Obviously, I'd prefer not to be able to answer all questions and be omnipotent in my information base. Obviously, I prefer to be completely ignorant. What are you asking? Of course it's better to be able to answer these questions. Obviously, knowing about mercury switches and gyroscopes is preferable if somebody brings them up. Obviously. But my knowledge, I'm not infallible. You know, I'm going to have holes in my information even after 10 years of learning this stuff from people. And obviously, when I'm out there doing my damnedest to represent everybody, when I'm out flogging my book, which is the real reason I'll be out there, to flog my book. Now, that makes me de facto representative of a lot of people. I understand that. It's not just about me flogging my book. But it is. And I'll be out there. And if I don't do a good job of representing you, I won't be doing a good job of somebody who's trying to sell a book. So the two aren't mutually exclusive. You know, I've got to do a good job of representing all of Flat Earth to do a good job of flogging my book. Likewise, anybody who becomes an affiliate for me, if they're trying to flog my book to get the 30% out of it in affiliate commission, they're going to want to do a good job of representing you, Brian, also, but when they talk about the book. Now, does that mean that I haven't stood on the shoulders of many great men over the last 10 years? Of course. Have I thanked every single one of them? I'd hope so. I'd hope not a single one of them would turn around and go, you climbed on me and my back and then took a giant steaming dump on me. There's a little saying, be careful who you climb on to get to the top, because you inevitably have to climb back over them on your way back down again. Now, knowing that little, whatever you call it, phrase, that little saying, has prevented me from shitting on people over the last 10 years. And as much as Brian's my mate, and I know we're just having this is a friendly bit of banter that just happens to be live, I know I haven't crapped on Brian. He's never going to charge me with anything in all sincerity in this particular scenario. He's in sincerity as much as he's being a bit of a gamma secret king, I'm better than you. And he may not like it when he hears it back, but that's how it comes across, Brian. Nevertheless, he's got
Nathan,
my best interest at
you're
heart.
missing my point completely.
I knew it 11 times.
Well, no, my point is I'm also not infallible, but I'm trying my best to be the least fallible or whatever as possible. That's my point.
Yes. Me too, Brian.
So, well, I don't
Nobody
know.
wants to be willfully ignorant, do they? I said it, and as soon as it crossed my lips, I thought, no, there's quite a huge chunk of people that literally want to remain willfully ignorant. They'd rather defend us with violence than go and actually learn how Earth's measured for the sake of argument. You know, they'd rather defend what they'd already learned about heliocentrism. You know what I mean? So willful ignorance is what we fight against.
It is. It's literally what we fight against. Sorry, one.
I was just going to say, just on the same subject as the book, this is why the book's going to be fantastic for Joe Public, because the points that you and Nathan are talking about and not knowing certain things and be able to get into detail, that is exactly what the book's going to provide for people. You know, like myself and people who are new into the subject, they can pick the book up and get more information, which will arm them, you know, will give them the confidence and knowledge to talk about this topic to somebody in a more detailed fashion. So on that note, I think it's just going to be fantastic.
There is 100 people watching, and it hasn't been that way for quite some time. A massive shout out to all of you who liked, shared, more importantly than anything else, the show, as we've got 100 people watching, and as I say, it's been a while. Thank you very much, all of you who've joined in. The only reason we've got 100 people watching is because there are regulars here who share the show. So obviously, I'm going to say thank you to you first. If you've smashed the share button today, you get an extra special thank you. You've got to hear a bit of Brian and Nathan banter today, which is always fun. Please share the show if you've not done so already. I really appreciate everyone who has such fun thus far. Also, shout out to Pablo. He says, Happy Monday. Happy Monday used to be a band that I used to like. It was the first live concert I ever went to. It wasn't actually Happy Mondays, it was Black Grape, but same piss in a different bottle. Anyway, yeah, Happy Monday. Thank you for the super chat, Pablo. Really appreciate the support.
Brian's looking out for your best interest.
Of course he is. Him saying that he'd do a better job, hypothetically, in a scenario where something he's just studied and I haven't would have come up, he would have done better. He would. I can't disagree. And Brian, you are fallible. Everybody's fallible. So don't worry about it either. You haven't got an all-expansive knowledge. You never will, even when you're close to death, if you haven't already gone nuts.
Totally agree. But as I said, I'm trying to limit the amount of it. as much as possible. That's
Oh,
all.
sure.
I mean, I can't know everything, can I? It's not possible. I've admitted so much that I don't know and can't know.
I get it. And while I obviously want to expand my knowledge, nobody wants to be willfully ignorant when you're out promoting a subject where you've spent 10 years with constant opposition trying to catch you out, constant opposition trying to show that you're wrong. Well, now it's reached a point where what I am in this regard is utterly irrelevant. I've checked the measurements of Earth and it is flat. That is how it is measured. What's that? You need to tell me something different. I don't care. But you do. You care that I hear how I've read the flat Earth measurements wrong, how it's self-correct, all this crap. Now, Brian's saying you need to study this or someone will catch you out on it. Maybe, maybe not. But ultimately speaking, I've already reached the point when we came to writing a book where we knew it was measured flat. That's been a rhetoric for 2 or 3 years. This isn't new. So it's reached almost a point of indifference. So yeah, I might get made to look stupid by somebody who knows a lot about avionics in this specific example that Brian's trying to hold me to task for, and rightly so. We're all constantly holding each other to an extremely high standard. Me getting a bit bent out of shape and getting a bit put out and counting the number of times I've been put down is my sensitivity to this. Why? Well, because I'm not fully battle hardened in this regard, right? Still got a little bit of sensitivity left in me. I don't like being called stupid by Brian because I respect him. And I know he's right, which is even more irritating. But there we go. Knowledge isn't... we are not infallible, right?
I don't recall Brian ever calling you stupid.
He said you might be made to look stupid. He didn't say I would be stupid. He's not that crass. I'm saying I'm an overly sensitive fellow in this regard, Neil. I'm putting myself down, being self-deprecating, because I've reached a point of almost being apathetic to the subject, and Brian can sense it. It's like, don't just let yourself get lazy. There's still plenty to learn. There's still going to be arguments that come back your way. And just saying, oh, well, it's flat, it's measured that way. If something comes up that you haven't got a clue about, and then somebody on an opposing side of a panel you're there to promote your book on starts talking about this particular thing, in this case, avionics, and if they start seeming really smart and saying, what, you don't know about the self-correcting gyros that account for Earth curve? And I go, no, I don't really know much about gyros. I've never had a need to. I don't fly aircraft. Well, why are you talking on the subject, stupid flat earther? Obviously, we've got Earth curve measurements in the self-correcting gyros. That's why the flat Earth, straight line, sea level, parallel is what it is in this measurement, because we had self-correcting gyros the whole time that you didn't know about, you stupid idiot. And I'd hear that and go, okay, I mean, maybe that's the case, but there's plenty of other flat Earth measurements I can appeal to. Now, if that in that moment you're saying, well, you've lost half the audience, they all want to believe that, yeah, they all wanted to believe it was a ball anyway. So 50% that I've lost at that point were teetering on the border of wanting to crucify me there and then anyway. So while I agree with Brian, I've got to kind of play devil's advocate for the point that there's a good chunk of the general Western world that do not care, no matter what I say, that Earth is measured flat. And when there's somebody there that's there purely to offer pain relief to the majority of the audiences that I'm going to be dealing with shortly when promoting my book, that are going to want to catch me out, I'm just going to accept that. Yeah, there's going to be people who want to catch me out. So what? Do I care? Does it change how Earth is measured? No. Well, Brian's saying don't take that attitude. Don't become apathetic. Stay frosty. And he's right.
Is that the new thing? People wanted to catch us out. That's a new thing. that's like a Monday for us. What do you mean? That's what we've been doing for years.
Exactly. We're doing it now, right? You don't get time to become apathetic.
Yeah, but that was in the beginning. So it's bad now if you allow anybody to catch you out there with the evidence we have, with the silver bullet now that we have. You can't let anybody catch you out there.
It's not even catching us out. It's them catching themselves out. Like, I agree with the attitude that Nathan had earlier when I came in a little bit earlier. Like, we're good. You guys are the ones that have things you guys got to work out between yourselves. That's been my attitude for a minute now. It's almost like Nathan caught on. Like, we're good over here. It's measured flat. We're good. What's going on with you guys? Are you guys deciding whether it's the curve is measured or not, or what are you doing? What's today? Is today we've measured a day, or is today it's too big to measure? Like these are problems
It's a
you guys have,
negligible
not us.
curvature day. Negligible curvature today.
No, Chocolate has been saying it for years. You guys got to get your stuff together. Seems like you's got to work things out.
I mean, I don't think I'd do very well in a podcast because as soon as they mention horizontal, vertical, or parallel, I'll just tell them you can't use that word, mate. It's got nothing to do with curvature. And I just stop and talking.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
it's
Like,
one step
what
further down the
curvature?
line for one deck. So I'm saying to Brian, who cares when every axiomatic principle in the measurements is tied to horizontal surface level, parallel flight, straight and level, altitude at a certain flight level. All these things are requiring a flat Earth in principle that they cannot use at any stage. And one deck saying as soon as he would hear any of those words even mentioned, he'd stop the discussion there and then. Now, Brian has always been, obviously, of the ilk that if you're dealing with somebody that takes these principles that are axiomatically defined and violates them from the outset by pure fiat, just by begging the question, then you've got to start from their position if you're going to try and get them on your side. Now, I get it. I've heard it for the last 3 months. I get it.
No. Exactly what one deck said is totally fine, totally perfect. As soon as they bring up any of those, well, you can't use them. I'm totally fine with that. You can go back and listen, Nathan. I was saying that a long time ago, but you weren't listening. Like you're not listening to me today. I'll be very clear on what I'm saying. If you want to bring up pitch data, and one of them is going to come at you publicly with some nonsense about a Mercury switch system that you haven't bothered learning about, it's going to look to the audience like you don't know what you're talking about, and they do. So when you say this pitch data proves blah, 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 the audience will go, well, obviously it doesn't, because this one doesn't, nobody's talking about. But they're not even going to pay attention to what you have to say after that.
The first time you said it. It's been 11 times now.
Well, I didn't get it that you got that. I got it that you were arguing with me.
Yeah, my argument is for the shortcut to the flat Earth in any axiom that's used in that discussion.
Because most of the time, the shortcut will be provided by the opponent themselves. They just don't know it half the time.
Yeah. And Brian's saying, I want to know how they would take their shortcut to the flat Earth that they're hiding when they present something to us, because they're always trying to hide something. They're never actually presenting the curve data. It's some sort of it's always some sort of shilly scam. You know what I mean? Some broken instrument that they say, well, it would be accounting for curvature. Well, no, it wouldn't. If it was working, it would be correcting to straight and level flight, as every other instrument in the plane showed.
Exactly. They don't have that.
The same curvature will tell you we can't measure, but it's this thing. It's supposed to be accounting for curvature, but it doesn't. And then another discussion. Oh yeah, we don't do that. It's locally flat.
Why would we do it? There's negligible curvature. Negligible curvature. Why would we? It's just flat.
You don't understand. You don't measure the curvature. You measure the effects of curvature. Remember that one?
Yeah.
You're
not accounting for us correcting it away. It's been corrected away. What do you mean it's been corrected away? The curve that we're not seeing in these flat Earth measurements. It's been corrected. So
hey, wrong. Nathan, Brian, just back to the book. You might not be able to. So just for example, and you might not be able to go into this, just regarding the gyroscope then, how much of that is mentioned in the book and to what detail?
What we're doing right now, it's what we're doing literally in this chapter. It's the last chapter of the book on flights. It's what we're covering right now, which is why people are, I don't want to use the word aggressive, but obviously it's being refined. So I'm being held up as the example. There's an expectation of me while it's being refined. It is the last chapter of the book, Flights.
Yeah, just on what was said a second ago, that this is exactly my point. When they're trying to say that these things are making corrections for curvature, I can then go through the details of what they think is correcting for curvature and show to an audience outright, without a doubt, that they didn't understand what they were talking about. And that it's not doing any of those things. And that only validates when I show the pitch data then. And I speak about the lift effect. And that only validates me. there is no question then in the audience's mind.
Sure, but would you agree at that point, Brian, that the person that's presented that to you is a liar? They're a deceitful shit to have done that, to present that as though it was proving curvature. That would make them a liar, correct?
Yeah, or an idiot, one or the other, ignorant.
There wouldn't be an idiot. If somebody's been,
yeah.
In this hypothetical example that you've given to me, where somebody's being wheeled out to do this to me specifically, that's not an idiot, is it? That's somebody that's there to deceive, correct?
Well, it could be somebody who, there's no guarantee they're going to be lying. They actually might think that is correct. There's no like these. You have to understand with these people. Some of them are outright some of them will just outright lie like that publicly, but some of them will just go forward with absolute confidence, thinking that they have something that they don't have, because they haven't actually learned about it properly. They've been told about. They think, you know what I mean. They get confirmation bias out of something small, and they just hang on to that because they have a fear. So some of them won't be lying. They actually will think they have something.
Hamlin's razor, don't ascribe to malice what could be explained with stupidity, would always apply. Therefore, even if somebody is wheeled out with the sole purpose of suggesting that there's an earth curve correction in gyroscopic motion, upon undermining their position by showing how the corrections in a faulty gyro, or indeed just general corrections, are tied to the axiomatic horizontal correction they're correcting to, then you're undermining their position, regardless of if it's done through malice or idiotic, stupid person that's just there thinking that they've got a gotcha. Regardless, you can just overcome their point, show how the correction's actually to a horizontal plane of reference, and then you get on with your day with the rest of your flat earth proofs.
Yeah, but that's what Captain Edgewise and Almanator, they've got confirmation bias. That's correct, Brian.
Yeah, they're boltards.
Captain who?
Right. So any little thing they get, to them, instead of it being eye-opening, it's confirmation bias. Brian explained it earlier today. Every bit of those papers that were sent to us. But they don't listen because they got it as confirmation bias. Yeah, it's impossible for it to detect curvature and put it down in the pitch data. It magically disappears.
What they tend to do is they'll focus on 6 and forget about 7 and 8 and how they connect to 9 and how it all connects back to 3. Do you know what I mean? They will make an argument in a vacuum. So Dave McKeegan is making an argument about this mercury switches and the torque, right, system. And is he taking into account that that's in those particular gyros or that particular power system, that is not relevant in the other power system? Do you know what I mean? It's like, he's arguing that it's correcting back to horizontal, but their argument is that it's a correction that's happening. They're basically implying it's a mathematical correction. It's not. It's an actual mechanical correction that's ignored then mathematically because of the system that's there to correct it. They don't have to. Like I'm only going by what they're saying when I say it's ignored mathematically. I don't know if that's even true. That could be shown in some pitch data somewhere. I don't know if that's true. But I'm going by what they say. They're saying it's not in the pitch data, right? It's not in the pitch data. If it's not in the pitch data, it's because it's being ignored because the gyro is not holding horizontal at that point. So they ignore it because they can't use because the gyro is not holding horizontal. They then can't use that. Do you know what I mean? For the data, they need the horizontal. They need the 0 for the data. So the point is does Dave McKeegan even know what any of the things I just pointed out? It's very likely he doesn't. He's just arguing in a vacuum. He's not even thinking that what he's actually doing. If you think about it, as I thought about it, he's actually claiming that pendulous vanes are creating a constant vertical, which they are, which is creating a constant horizontal, holding a constant horizontal, making the Earth only one way, flat. You know what I mean? It's like he doesn't see maybe how the argument he's making with the switches, the mercury and the mercury switches and the torque and that. He's not seeing how that system and its corrections that don't need to be made with the other ones because there's pendulous vanes is proven is one like. Do you know what I mean? He
Well, you summarised it
he's like
already.
he's hitting
Correction
himself
to
in the back
what?
of the head.
Correction to what?
Horizontal.
Right. It's game over. We've got the measurements. They don't have to like it. They can argue with us all they like, but I am kind of apathetic to it now. I don't really care. I mean, you can feel free to come and tell me I'm wrong about how Earth's been measured flat and how it hasn't got the curved data in the data because there's some correction that's supposed to be. I don't care. It's flat. We measured. It's checked. We know. There's no real need for any of you idiots anymore. We're done with you. You can just argue amongst yourselves about how the missing curve is corrected for or doesn't need to be accounted for or is gravitationally exempt. You argue amongst yourselves. We don't care anymore. But with that, I will say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow.
From A to Z.
So the first time we have over 100 listening in a while and watching, we end the show early. Oh, actually, it ended at 9:11. Dun, dun, dun.
11.
Me and you, according to, what's his name there? Me and you were working for the government, Chocolate. What was that guy's name again? DJ.
Pete Shea. Is Pete Shea back on the scene?
Well, he said that because me and Chocolate are both from New York and we're in New York during 9/11, you know, we're shilly. Working for the government, yeah?
So you're shilly because what? You both were in New York during 9/11?
Absolutely, yeah.
But you lived there, right?
Yeah, at the time I was living there.
Yeah.
How many
Working
people live in
there.
New York? What's he talking about?
Who the hell cares? Some nonsense he came out with years ago.
Did you see any planes?
On the news,
No.
I mean, with your eyeballs.
not with my eyes, no. But I was in the after effect. This is when the news came out. Then I made a beeline towards the World Trade Center because it might not be obvious to everybody, but you can't see the World Trade Center or the Empire State Building from every part of the city. I was in like 14th and 8th, so we had to do some maneuvering to get to a place where we could see it. But when we did get to that place, it was a devastating sight.
Yeah, I can kind of see Pete Shea's point. You do kind of sound a bit shilly.
Just sound involved there, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. Started to question.
Actually, you could see how they worked on the emotions of Americans because I remember seeing that gaping wound in that building and my lips started shaking. You know, like, holy shoot.
And then you saw
tears
the whole
to your eyes.
structure collapse because of structural integrity due to the fires, probably.
Yeah, that guy was on the spot, huh?
You remember that interview?
I was just
The Harley
stunned that they
Davidson
were
guy.
because I had taken the train. I had taken the train that took me to my job, which was Midtown, that literally went underneath the World Trade Center. So I was just there like a half hour before all that shit happened.
Same time as Neil.
Yeah, sounds a little bit chilly. Same time as me, Chalk. Whoa.
Yep, chilly me being at work. That sounds really
Pete
chilly.
Shea said everything was actors. You guys are all actors. Remember?
Who
Pete
are all
Shea
actors?
saying that?
Yeah, but who's he talking about specifically?
Pete
Me,
Shea
you,
was stating
Nathan,
that.
you're the actor.
Oh, us.
Ryan's an actor.
Sorry.
Chocolate's an actor.
So many layers.
Yeah.
So many layers.
Hey Neil, do you remember when he mentioned nobody died? Remember when Pete Shea was saying nobody died there? That was all fake.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I know people had died.
Well, same here, and people were falling out of the building, jumping.
Neil was one of the dancing Italians.
On the van, on his carpet laying van.
Dancing Italian. Yeah, it was a crazy day, man.
What does that even mean?
Oh, you don't get it? The dancing Israelis? They say there was a group of Israelis that were like dancing and partying
Yeah. Oh my God.
while the
we were
attack
revoked.
happened. Huh?
Yeah, I
Do you
think
remember
that's a
when
bunch of
Charlie
bullshit.
Sheen? Yeah, Charlie
Wow.
Sheen mentioned to his brother that day when they watched it, he said that looks like a controlled demolition or something. Than that. Then after that, Charlie Sheen's career went downhill. Remember, he came out and he was outspoken and he said that was it looked like a
Had nothing to
demolition.
do with
And
drugs,
this is
right?
like, yeah, craziness.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that.
What do you mean?
comment
He was on Two and a
the
Half
entire
Men.
result of Charlie Sheen's downfall.
Yeah,
I
he was
think
in
you're
Two
right.
and a Half Men, and then he came out. Him and his brother were watching it on TV or something. This is what he said, and he saw them go down like in free fall, and he mentioned something about that's no way that's from the planes, blah blah blah, and then notice how his career just slowly went to shite.
Nothing to do with drugs, huh?
Well, no, the drugs obviously the drugs had a lot to do with it, but I think that he was driven to go crazy. I think
I
they
do vaguely
drove
remember
him
Hold
crazy.
on. Two and a
something
Half
on it,
Men
though,
was
right?
way after 9/11,
I
right?
do remember that getting reported out there about Charlie Sheen.
No,
Actually,
no,
now you mention it.
Two and a
Something
Half
about-
Men. Was it after? Or
Well, Charlie Sheen was like
was
on
it
the
after?
news. He was talking about it like with Emilio Estevez, and he said something about that looks like they'd have to pull it or something. I vaguely remember him saying something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, but
Something like that.
yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Who cares?
But Two and a Half Men was way after 9/11, I
Yeah,
believe.
are you sure that? I thought it was the '90s, wasn't it? Two and a Half Men? No, maybe not. No.
Wait, I'm sorry. Matter of fact, I distracted. I realized.
You're breaking up. Well, if they lie about the shape of the Earth, they can do anything, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't trust any of them.
Well, 2.5 Men in Gematria is actually 9/11. Not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, that checks out.
And Charlie Sheen is 33. Obviously.
DC.
Yeah, the first episode was 2012. So when did he make that remark?
1984.
I was gonna. Oh yeah, speaking of Charlie Sheen, do you remember he had a long-standing girlfriend on the show? I forget her name, but anyway, she did a movie up here with what's that guy's name? Wesley something. Wes somebody. Do you know actor named Wes?
Wesley
Wesley.
I forget.
Snipes is
Anyway.
the only one I know.
Well, yeah, he was up here too a couple times for low budget movies, but Wes Bentley
I know
or
Wes.
something. Wes,
Tall guy.
is there a
Handsome
Wes
guy.
West
Bentley?
Binghamton.
Yeah, and and who else? Anyway,
Wesley.
she was up here. Yeah. There's
Wes
a couple of
Craven?
them. Yeah. Anyway, craziness. This craziness.
Nightmare, I would
Sorry,
say.
you guys.
I know his
I'm
name,
just
West East.
here. West north. West.
West South?
Wes, he
You get
was the
the
devil in the
horizontal plane for that, mate.
in Ghost Rider. He was in Ghost Rider, the original movie. He was like the bad guy, like the devil's spawn or something.
Yeah,
Ghost
friends with
Rider.
Matthew Eastman.
No, and he was in American Horror Story. God, he was like the traveling magician guy. Whatever. Anyway, who
Tom
cares?
Johnson.
But anyway, they're up here. My ex is a costume designer, and they did a bunch of. She's done a bunch of movies. Actors come up here and do like B movies, like low budget, and you get
with
like
the bumblebees.
top actors who would come up here and do a low budget movie. Like Charisse Theron came up and did her own movie with her own money, and it's called oh god, I forget what it's called. Anyway, she did a movie up here when it was like 40 below zero, middle of winter.
That was the name
oh
of
yeah,
it.
Dennis
40
Hopper
below
was in it.
zero.
Oh, it's called Sleepwalking. If you look it up, that was like my ex did all these costume designing for all these movies, but it's called Sleepwalking with Charisse Theron. Then she was on Letterman after, and she was talking about how Regina is just like boring. It's like a one-horse town. That's my city, right? And she was on Letterman explaining that the only excitement was to go to the casino, and it was 40 below zero the whole time they shot the movie. It's called Sleepwalking. If you look it up, you'll see it's real. Oh, it's got what's his face from the guy who's John Connor from the Part 3 Uprising, the Machines or whatever. The boy, the guy, he's in
And
it
this
too.
is why.
Yeah. Well, why are we
What's his
talking about
name?
any-
Yeah. Why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wasting our
jeez.
time
It's like
with
talking to your
nonsense.
uncle. It's like, you know,
Nathan,
I don't know.
I don't know.
What's-
I'm so sorry. I got side. I was talking about the girlfriend from 2.5 Men that was up here, made a movie.
yeah, why are we
That's all
talking
I'm
about
saying.
that? Why are we
Because
talking about any of this?
obviously,
folks?
Emilio Estevez says it looked like a controlled demolition
Sorry,
or a pull or something like
Yeah,
that.
I
And
went up to
then he
that
lost his career
Yeah, I'm really
over it.
sorry.
Now we never saw Emilio ever again because he was, he was basically like, he was like a whistleblower when he said that, kind of.
You know what's funny?
Shoot them.
Nathan, you remember you were saying that you got a load of ballers coming at you when you said basically you didn't need them anymore. Like when I was listening to
Oh my God.
the Friday show yesterday, I didn't get a chance to see it or hear it. And I was listening to Friday show yesterday. I was laughing because the first thing came to mind when you were saying that is that the way it's like the narcissist is not needed anymore or something. It's like, nah, I'm not interested in you anymore. That kind of thing. And suddenly they can't handle it. They can't handle it. You don't need them anymore. You're not. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Good
yes,
point.
I know what you're saying. There's an alleged symbiosis between us and them, but I've gone now. We actually don't need you at all. We've got the measurements now. We don't really need you. Thanks.
Like like when they were trying to boycott us or something. Is that boycott still on or what?
Yeah. The funny thing is, it's still on.
Like 2018.
The funny thing is, it's still on. But somebody came and was asking Nathan what it would take for him to go to Gem Pandas. I thought it was a boycott.
Yeah, Panda's
they
the
can
one
just
who
come in here.
initiated the boycott. Yeah.
Yeah, the boycott might be the worst thing they ever did, to be honest with you, because it gave us
The
time
good old
to
days.
actually talk about things.
Yeah, and then afterwards, Jim Panda showed up here with If Mass and Mass Attracts Mass. Yeah. Where's that again?
See, we don't need them anymore. Their involvement in this situation is done more or less. I'd agree with that. It's not that they aren't likely to be a problem though in the future. It's more of it, but we don't need to have any involvement with them. They don't have anything else to add. If you know what I mean?
Well, they just don't have anything
rabbits
for
out of
us.
the hats.
They don't have anything to add. It's the same as me saying, well, you don't have anything to offer us anymore. So it's a bit like, let's say up until this point, metaphorically, we're all arguing about how manly and menful we all are. And they're arguing about them being more manly, and we're arguing about how we're more manly. And we're all coming in the bar and they sing things like, while we're trying to argue how manly we are and how non-manly those people are, they use the mute button on us and they shut us down and they use fallacies. And we say, when they try and argue that they're more manly than us, and they're definitely not, we're more manly than them, they try and shut us down and they use the mute button on us and they talk over us and they're scum. So that's what's happening in this bar. Yeah, the argument is generally that in the bar. And then one day, the ballers, who are by metaphor one group, come to the bar. There's women everywhere. They go, what's going on? And the guy behind the bar goes, yeah, it's a lesbian bar now. They go, what? But we want to argue about how manly we are. And they go, yeah, no one cares here. They're all lesbians. No one gives a shit. Couldn't care less. I mean, you can. Obviously, we're not going to turn you away. You're still welcome to come in and buy a drink. But if you start ranting on about how manly you are, people will just look at you weirdly because nobody cares. Nobody needs that in here or wants it. And nothing you say will change that. And they go, but we want the days where we came in and argued with other men about how manly we were. Yeah, it's a lesbian bar now.
That really bothered them Friday when you said that. We don't need you anymore. That really got under their skin.
If anything, all they've done is provide comedy relief, because everything we've gotten from the actual paradigm itself. Not them, not the defenders of the paradigm. The paradigm, right? We don't need them. All they did was provide comedy relief for their mitigation for all their crap that they claim that they can't really claim, but will claim anyway. That's all. That's really all they were useful for. So thanks for that.
Just back to that gyro then, just so like in basic, you're talking about having a podcast to go into detail about things, which is great. And the more you know about this stuff is great, you should do. But just from, like, say, from layman's point of view, how is best to just describe the gyro then in simplicity? It's maintaining horizontal, isn't it? And if the plane, that's its purpose, isn't it? To keep a horizontal reference for the plane to operate its pitch. I mean, how can you break it down into the simplest point just to get the point across? Do you think?
I don't think you're understanding this one, Deck. I've got mace. I'm a lesbian now. I don't care.
By the way, when you said that brought Proto-Thad out and a few other people. I got to go back and look at the chat. But when you started dropping that, we don't need you anymore, it got them very irritated.
They do need us.
Who? There was some
Nathan, when you did the Vice interview there, was that the same episode that ODD was on there as well?
What? ODD? As in?
Yeah, I remember he was on a Vice did an interview with him as well. I don't know if that was the same episode.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, ODD TV. Yeah. He was on the Vice episode as well.
So,
whatever happened to him? Is he in jail or what?
I don't. Is he in jail? Why would you assume he'd be in jail?
Why are we talking about ODD?
Apparently, he might be in jail.
It's OCD. I'm sorry. OCD. I'm sorry. I'm going on mute. I'm sorry.
OCD.
Yeah, I changed it to OCD. It's ADHD, OCD. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm got off track today. It's Monday today. I'm just off kilter.
No,
I'm sorry.
not you.
Anyway, not me. No, never. I'm just partly off kilter here. Hi, Brian.
I was considering bringing up a completely non-secular topic for us to talk about.
Yeah, I know. It's
silly.
non-secular.
Like,
I know.
Does anyone know what happened to ODD? Something completely out of left field like that.
Yeah, OCD or whatever his name was. I just brought that up because I was thinking of Nathan did Vice, and it just came to my mind that ODD did a Vice as well. That's all. That's all I meant to say. I'm going on mute.
I just want to say that 7-Eleven was a part-time job. And nobody dyed their hair. Nobody bought hot dogs.
That's a Jaron. Jaron said that all the time, remember?
Well, that 7-Eleven was a part-time job.
Yeah, he coined that. He coined that a long time ago.
Been watching Jaren
Just goes
killing
to show.
Nathan?
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, yeah, he coined that. It just goes to show, though, how much of a backstabber turncoat he ended up being.
What, 7-Eleven being a part-time job proved that Jaren's a turncoat? No, him being a turncoat proves he's a turncoat.
No. I mean, now compared to now, like he had a lot of good information back in the day, even though it was kind of obvious
When?
stuff, NASA and this and that. Yeah, go ahead.
What good information did Jaren have? Tell me some.
No. It was pretty common sense stuff, like the NASA videos and stuff. Like he put it out there. It's okay. Some of his stuff, and I think he did the distances on flights. He did some flight stuff, flight time, like what do you call it? Do you remember?
That helps the opposing side.
Yeah, he was sort of on our side, but
No, that
they're
helps the
already they're
opposing side.
grooming him already.
I'm
Yeah.
saying the opposite. I'm saying that helps the opposing side. That argument that you just described. There's a shortcut there, isn't there?
Yeah. Back in the day.
Axiomatically, in that argument, you've got an Earth that's being measured flat in every single detail of that argument, but it's being whistle passed in terms of what's being used on maps that Jaren later went on to try and assert had been debunked with an Antarctic sun that was measured off a flat Earth for 24 hours.
Exactly. Yeah. Like total opposite.
So let's start again. What arguments did they have that were good arguments? You said he had good arguments. Neil said, what good arguments
Well, I
did
meant,
he have?
yeah, I said some of his videos, like the NASA videos and this and that, where like they're exposing all the wires and this and that. Those were
Keeping
kind of
people on the
interesting back
ball.
then because
Yeah,
Should have stayed
that
on
was
mute,
back
mate.
when I.
yeah. Again, I'd
Yeah,
say
back
that
when I
helps
first
the
got
opposing
into it.
side. You see,
I'm sorry.
in terms of
Sorry.
the arguments that we currently have, talking about NASA generally is kind of akin to crying back to the narcissist that you've left. In other words, once you figured out that they're lying, you don't have to go crawling back pointing out what they're doing wrong all the time. But that's kind of what Jaren was doing without actually pointing out that the altitude for things like the ISS, right? That's measured off a flat Earth.
Yeah.
But he's never getting there. He's just talking about the videos on the sound stages and the wires rather than, well, they're off a flat Earth in terms of their measurements, right? They're measured altitudes off a flat surface level.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I brought that up.
Yeah, it just seemed to be rambling through with their guns and never own while I'm trying to make a point. It just seems a bit weird that you'd be doing that. Why are you doing that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. You're just rambling through me while I am. I'm just pointing out that you're rambling through me. I mean, obviously, I can shut you up immediately. It's easy to do that even when you're rambling through me now. Just shut the line down and then it's not a problem anymore. Nobody gets to hear your dumbass voice while you're rambling through me. You don't have to apologise. I'll shut you up. Yeah?
So go ahead. Shut me up.
I was rambling to myself there about how Jaren would be much better served measuring the height off surface level for the ISS rather than going endlessly through the wires. I mean, I studied them. I did a performing arts course. I know what trapeze is. Yeah, so that's not much use. You suggested that Jaren had loads of good arguments before he became a turncoat. Second attempt to give us a good argument. Yeah, that's not a good argument. A better argument that you interrupted would be to suggest the height that they're saying is off surface level. That's a flat Earth measurement that they'd need for the altitude of the ISS. Or that the sky area that it's in, that's the third interruption to this same point that I've just told you off for. Do I have to close my line for you? What are you doing?
You're missing my point.
Shh! I'm not missing anything, you stupid man. I'm telling you that Jaren would be better served with arguments that measured a flat Earth off surface level. For one example. I mean, it's getting interrupted by you. I've had to close my line because you're an irritating prick that I've had to shut up so I can nicely be heard, clearly, without you constantly waffling through me. All you're doing is irritating everybody in Discord by doing this. But I'll point out that Jaren would be better served with arguments that measure a flat Earth. I mean, you're here to ramble through me, it would seem, Guns. Don't know why. But Jaren didn't have any good arguments. None. But the ones you've offered up so far, I've pointed out that no, they're not good arguments when they show high wire. And that was really obvious from day one. I mean, an idiot could see that if they've got eyeballs. So that's not a good argument. A good argument would be, well, the height of the ISS is measured off surface level and the area that's in a sky vacuum is a violation of natural law. Those are good arguments. Jaren didn't present those, ever. So that's a second attempt to present a good argument that Jaren had. Did he have any good arguments? What were his good arguments? You've had 2 attempts so far.
Okay, Nathan, what I was suggesting is 10 years ago, we were all kind of greenhornish in as far as discovering flat Earth and the truth and all the measurement, this, that. But back then, all of us watched his videos. Nobody
I
can
didn't.
deny that. Right? No? Didn't any of you
Once
guys
I
watch
came,
his
oh,
videos?
hold
Yes,
on,
I'm sure.
guns.
So, what were the good arguments that he made in
Yes,
those
Neil.
videos that we watched 10 years ago? Can you name one?
Okay. Maybe I misspoke. It said argument. I meant he put out those videos were kind of entertaining, showing high wire acts, like you said. Like we all know what wires look like, and we all know how that works and this and that. But he put out a bunch of videos. Like NASA was going nowhere since 1958. Like he put out some funny. They're kind of good videos, really. They're no, am I wrong or what?
Well, no, you are wrong. They are not good arguments. Good argument would be going to a sky vacuum that violates the second law of thermodynamics. I just said this about 35 seconds ago. Going nowhere since however long NASA have been in existence. That's not a good argument. It's just whatever Jerem was putting out at the time. For my audience's benefit, I preemptively understood that I would be interrupted, so I closed the line so you didn't have to hear him interrupting this particular response to the third attempt to offer us a decent argument. It's not about there being videos out there. I'm saying everything that Jerem did, without exception, was helpful to our opposition. So describing where NASA are going, when the place they're going nowhere, they're not, no. The area that is alleged to be where they're going is a sky vacuum. Well, QE came up with that argument. QE didn't get 100,000 views out of it or 100,000 subscribers out of it. He didn't get anything out of it. That was a good argument. But what Jerem put out was shit. Let's make no bones about it. I was moaning at him from day one about why he wasn't talking about flat Earth and was talking about everything but flat Earth. What it got me was banned from Globebusters, from everything associated by Jerem and what he did. From day one, Jerem behaved like a shill, offering shit arguments that are helpful to our opposition. That's all he ever did. He didn't offer anything that was good. All he did was help our opponents. The people who did help us, they didn't get any credit. People like QE, he didn't get any credit for a good argument that would have been better served in place of Jerem's garbage that wasn't useful to us. It was helpful to our opponents. So credit where credit's due. QE gave us good arguments about opposing NASA. Upon hearing QE's argument, I could turn my back on NASA and never, ever pay them any credence to anything they did or said ever again. Immediately, it ended everything they did. Just with one argument. That's what QE did. I think Jerem came close to that. Absolutely not. So I'm not going to hear it. No, he didn't offer any good arguments. He just filled up the airwaves with flat Earth information that had nothing to do with flat Earth. I was moaning about it at the time. I remember getting banned for saying, why aren't you talking about flat Earth?
To be fair, he wasn't saying that Jared had any good arguments. He was just saying that he would make entertaining videos from what I got from him.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I found this
I
video
apologize,
annoying.
Nathan. I apologize, Nathan.
Not to apologize, sir. Let's talk about, that documentary he was in. That really helped Flat Earth a lot, right?
Oh my God.
Interesting.
That's what I remember. I said they were grooming the Globebusters. They're grooming them right from near the beginning. Like I knew that, and then Nathan had a good point that all of his stuff had nothing to do with flat Earth. It was just time fillers. His videos. You're right, Nathan. Come to think of it, yeah, but they're being groomed.
I think they were
Like I
intentionally
knew
put there,
that. Like I
actually.
shouldn't even brought that up.
About
You're right.
groomed. I think they were actually there intentionally, like paid chills, like Bob was paid to be there doing
Yes.
that, like introducing an argument about gyroscopic motion.
Yeah, the Netflix thing, that was such a joke. Yeah, you're right. True Colors came out there for sure.
He was mic'd. His alleged position after the fact was, I didn't know. I said those things and I didn't realise that it's like you had a mic pack on. So I instantly knew he was a liar. Like you're telling me you don't know what a mic pack is. Again, having worked in media and trained in media when I was at college and dealt with mic packs. I mean, it's something I'm revisiting now in much later life. But immediately, as soon as I heard the audio quality on Netflix with Bob saying, "Oh, this is a problem for Flat Earth," Shell, you mic'd. Now, at the time, I didn't think it because he didn't come back and then say, "Oh, no, I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know they'd caught me saying it. You were wearing a body pack. You were wearing a lav mic." So he was a liar. Bob, no doubt, was a liar. Lying when he said he didn't realise he was being heard saying those things when he was wearing a freaking lav mic. Lying bastard. So what did he say? Clear as crystal through a lav mic. Oh, well, this is a problem. Why? When there's arguments about reference frames for a spinning Earth that needs flat Earth to describe it in every mathematical description of those two reference frames, shouldn't we point out that their argument for a turning Earth requires a flat Earth frame of reference to be turning? Maybe that would be too close to pointing out that Earth's measured flat for this mathematics of the sky turning at 15 degrees an hour. Surface. But that's not what they did.
That was the perfect setup for the ether drift.
Yeah, then they went on to flog ether.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Morgall, he was excluded from the shill thing right off the bat because he actually tells the truth, Morgall. So they didn't want him because he would have been detrimental to the. Yeah.
Regardless, there was plenty of things that were out in that particular group of people that served no benefit to us. That's flat earthers.
Yeah.
And what they ended up exposing themselves was shills that were here punting arguments that were very beneficial to a created opposition that argued about Earth curve constantly, and then poured scorn on anybody that was doing anything half decent. That's all they did. What better description of controlled opposition can you have?
No, they're the front runners as far as that goes. Yeah.
And they showed their true colors when you tried to straighten them out.
Yeah, when you went on there talk about science, true colors, definitely. But I think we all suspected that way back then when they're like that. What about 6-7 years ago? We suspected or even longer maybe. We suspected something was fishy there.
Nah, I wanted to get them on side. I just thought they were ignorant and needed better arguments and appealed to them right to the bitter end. I didn't want to believe anything that I couldn't prove. I couldn't prove they were shills. Now, lesbian bar, don't care. Got measurements of Earth. We checked. It's flat. We've got the measurements. Makes no difference what Bob did, claiming that gyroscopic motion had anything to do with the discussion. It didn't. Earth was always being measured flat and dealt with flat in every single respect of any Earth measurement ever. So none of this was consequential then. It seemed important at the time. It really wasn't.
Was that German guy was trying to cite Bob's the gyro as a proof or something? Remember the other day, the CUN guy. Remember that?
Yeah, that was Captain Edgewater and Almanator, both of them citing Bob.
Oh God, that was a great episode.
When they need
Nathan
gyros to drift,
to
they'll appeal to Bob Nodell's example with his gyro. You're like, oh, it's all right. I don't need that anymore. I've got
Thursday or
got measurements.
See you next Tuesday. That was it. Yeah.
Gotta wait for Nathan to start talking, then come in. You're off there.
Yeah, who cares? Doesn't make any difference anymore. It never did. It was always measured flat. Every measurement's flat. So at the moment, having that knowledge, people like Simon Dunn are going to be on their knees apologising for how flat they need to measure it. Because every example that we point out will come from their necessity to create a flat plane of reference to measure Earth's surface with. And that's how Earth's been measured, always. So who cares? I don't care if they come to us telling us that gyroscopic motion has drift. Well, does it? Show us the measurements. Would have been what I said last year. Now, all right, you can believe that if you want. Well, you need to understand what I'm telling you. No, I don't. I don't give a shit. Got flat Earth measurements. I had them for a while. Don't care what you think about it. You need to convince me because you're a sad tosser that needs to go around convincing people of your belief. I've got the measurements. I don't care what you tell me in terms of your apologetics for how flat they end. They're flat. Telling me that they're not curved because of the self-correcting invisible curve that ain't measured. I couldn't give a shit anymore.
Wait a second. Wasn't Bob a pilot? How come he wasn't talking about pitch data or bringing any pitch data forward?
Because she was a shill.
Probably. It would matter if we hadn't got flat Earth measurements. We could argue all day about whether or not Bob Nodell was a shill. Doesn't matter though, does it? Does it matter if Joe and Campanella is a shill? No, we've got flat Earth measurements. It's crap. Doesn't matter.
What?
Yeah.
When I first came out with a video attacking Wolfie, attacking Wolfie about Floyd, specifically Wolfie. It wasn't just about Floyd, it was specifically an attack on Wolfie. The first person into the chat to try and stop me, and then privately through Skype, attacking me personally, was Bob Nodell. The very first person.
Really?
Straight away. Yeah, straight away. Straight away. You need to take this video down. You don't take it down. Wolfie's going to destroy it. And I knew Wolfie didn't have a hope. Right? Yeah, he was going to destroy it. And I said, no. Why would I do that, Bob? Right? And then privately, suddenly I start getting messages in Skype. I went to Skype, and he's attacking me viciously, privately.
Yeah. Sounds about right. But like I say, if it wasn't for the fact that we now identify that every measurement of Earth ever was always flat and nothing needs to change, we can start moving on to that point where the general populace starts recognising that they need to move on to the, yeah, we always knew it was flat stage. Not the, aren't flat earthers idiots? Oh, we need to do something about this and get Congress to censor them. To, yeah, we always knew. Yeah, that's how it's measured, isn't it? Because nothing changes. They had to hide how Earth was actually dealt with, or they wouldn't have been able to deal with Earth. But they have been dealing with Earth and measuring Earth and surveying Earth and flying over Earth and sailing on Earth for quite some time. And how they've dealt with it's never changed. The religious belief about Earth being a ball came along about 300 years ago. But it didn't alter how Earth was measured. They just incorporated it into their belief. So we just point that out now. But the idiots that want to rant at us about us understanding how their belief is invisible in the measurements of Earth, I'm sick of hearing it now. I don't care. You want to believe that you've got self-correcting gyros? Okay. Good for you.
Yeah. Well, you're right, Nathan, about the Roman Catholic Church basically preaching that the world was, a globe 300, 400, 500 years ago. At church every Sunday or whatever, because word of travel, like you couldn't get word out back in those days, like the technology and all this didn't have. So people, it just was word of mouth basically.
Worse than that.
The indoctrination.
Well, it's worse. What they'd have done is they'd have told the people at the time that was what the Bible said.
Yeah.
So that's what it said in the Bible. So if you went to the extent of translating the Bible, the problem with that wasn't that you were, because people can't wrap their head around it. Well, why would you be burnt at the stake for translating the Bible? Well, because it's not that your translation per se, the words on the page, are going to suddenly radically alter the lives of many when they can read them. It's that it exposes the deceit of your pastor. When he told you the Bible said X, not only did it not say that, it made no reference to it whatsoever. But he's telling you X. And you'll find out that that's not the case if you can actually read a translated version of the Bible. So they didn't want you to translate it. And if you tried to, they'd hang you. Because you are going to expose the people who lie. That's what it always boils down to. There's a certain group of people that need to detach themselves from the lie, generationally perhaps, now. And once they're dead, not figuratively, literally, once those people are dead, then the world moves on because they're no longer alive to protect the awful fact that they needed to lie to protect the status quo. In this case, a ball earth religion that's been passed down from the Roman Catholic Church over the course of several hundred years. Well, that, along with many other things that were lied about when preaching from the so-called Bible, not at all just words and doctrines that were given to them by people in power that needed to be preached to the people. And then claimed to be the word of God when it absolutely wasn't. Just another way of controlling people. We get it now. And like I say, the heliocentric control aspect, what does it actually do? Where's it serving a control narrative beyond fear-based control? It doesn't really serve that much of a useful rhetoric. And now, unless there's something I don't know, which is highly likely, which is to say there's something beyond what we already know in terms of the expansion of the territory that might be to our detriment that they'd want to stop us doing. Obviously, you can't know what you don't know. But beyond what I don't know, it's like, what does it serve? A control structure for limiting expansion of the territories. That's about it. So who's going to keep that going? Eventually, people in the higher-ups will be curious also. Maybe it'll then get expanded out a little bit. A couple of new worlds will get found. They'll call them third worlds again or change the titles. And then, they'll squeeze it onto a new map somehow. And then they'll go, we better get back to locking down this area with heliocentrism again. That worked 500 years ago. Let's do that again. But every so often, people will realise the awful truth now that we're in the information age. The only way to stop it is to just smash all the computers. Destroy the easy what's the word when it's two-way? Forgotten the word. Anyway, the two-way passing of information that we currently experience at a high speed without any real impedance beyond the noise that gets thrown into the mix that we have to currently deal with, right? Well, that will only last so long as well. The nonsense waffle of people like Dave and now Jaron will only serve as long as it sounds plausible. We don't have many people that have to come along that go, I don't believe any of that shit. We measure Earth flat, and give you 5 examples on the spot. And then suddenly I understand that we measure Earth flat in those 5 examples, but let me explain for a very long time how those examples that measure Earth flat are just ignoring the curve that we don't have in the measurements because it's self-corrected. Gravity. It's okay, we can measure all of that locally flat because we're on a really big ball, didn't you know? There's just negligible curvature in all these measurements that you're throwing at me like I need to believe Earth isn't flat just because it's measured that way. It's negligible curvature over those small distances you're quoting we measure Earth flat with. We do, but that's because you don't understand the righteous way of the ball. Can I take your time and let me educate you in the ball for 5 minutes? They'll become like Jehovah's Witnesses. The ball believers will become like the guy at the door that you're like, nah, I'm all right. I don't need to know how Earth that's measured flat actually has got self-correcting gyroscopes in it. And if I understood, I'd understood how the world's really massive and but at the same time a really tiny ball in a big vacuum. Yeah, I don't need to hear any of that. Piss off. I ain't got time for your numpty ball belief. That's how it'll go. The ball believers who want nothing more than everyone else to believe as they did once when they were first around, right? The aging ones as time moves on. They'll want everybody to just think, oh, yeah, the world is still just like it used to be when we all believed it was a ball and any Earth curve that we didn't measure was explained away as being negligible because it's acceptable to measure a flat Earth when we know it's actually a really big ball, believe us, because reasons. We need everyone to believe those reasons again, but they don't, so we can go door to door telling people how wonderful the ball Earth religion was and that they need to believe in it again and ignore the flat Earth measurements or understand that they're stupid and don't understand how accounts for Earth curvature have been disappeared because of self-correcting gyros. Bloody event.
Well, that's what they're doing at present.
Hold on, you may have a guy coming out with a show called Ball Earth Debate.
What, Ethan Woodley?
Yeah.
That's what they've been doing. It's just now door to door is channel to channel, server to server, podcast to podcast. They're doing it at present, and they've been doing it all along. It just wasn't so obvious as it is now.
Yeah, TV shows, movies. How many times they say the word global or globe, where it used to say worldwide, now they say global. It's constant indoctrination.
They've got that.
But that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ballers, Neil, the way they're coming to, so everyone, they're coming to any channel, any platform, any server, any podcast possible to promote this belief. They can't stop. They can't sleep. They just, you know what I mean? They're robots.
Let them. It's like the ghost believers. Let them.
Well, that's what I asked them. What are you even doing here? Why is it bothering you?
Yeah, in a world where everybody believes about ghosts anyway, they're out there saying, there's ghosts. And everyone's like, yeah, we all believe in ghosts, yeah? Yeah, well, just so you know, there's people out there that say there isn't any ghosts. Well, just so you know, those people are idiots. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, I did actually have a look at those people that said there wasn't any ghosts. Are you one of those people that says there isn't? No, I'm not one of those people. You better not be. Yeah, well, when you encounter those people.
That's pretty telling in itself.
Yeah, you're just mowing your lawn and you're just like a believer. And this guy comes along and must start telling you about the people who are saying that there isn't ghosts. You're going, okay, well, look, I might check them out. Like, why would you do that? Is there something that you're saying?
Don't check them out. We'll come back if you check them out.
You know what the anti-globers or the false flat earthers and the anti-flat earthers are? They are the People's Front of Judea and the Judean People's Front. That's what they are. The two of them. And they all have 40 leaders.
I mean, bless them. I mean, they're doing their thing, right? I mean, it makes them happy. If they get to the end of their time here and go, I feel like I spent a lot of time converting the already converted to the globe, I've done a good job. Time well spent. Just while we're on a similar subject, have you heard of the benefits of air and breathing? Just checking if you know the benefits of air. I want to tell you all about the benefits of air. Have you got time to listen to me preach about the benefits of air? There's people out there that are saying, don't breathe air. And you don't want to listen to those people.
Yeah, it's just if the world was as they claim it to be, they wouldn't have to do all this stuff. They wouldn't have to do anything. They'd have to do we wouldn't even they wouldn't even address. We'd be the biggest joke of all time. They'd never need to actually address us in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
we don't have to address
laughing their
Yetis.
asses off at us.
We don't actually ever spend any time. How many people are there out there doing anti-Bigfoot material? Anti-Bigfoot. That is to say, you've got people out there that go out and go, I've seen Bigfoot, and people go, stupid idiot, and watch it for fun. Yeah? But how many anti-Bigfooters are there? Like, going out saying, there's people out there that say there's Bigfoot. You don't want to watch those people. They're very dangerous. In fact, I'm going to go and tell Congress to censor the Bigfoot people behind me. Can you sign
That's a good
petition?
point.
I reckon if I get 50,000 signatures, we can get rid of the Bigfoot people. What do you reckon? Do you reckon we can get Congress to get rid of the ghost people too? I mean, I think this is something we definitely need to do, Brian. I mean, they're a danger to society, really.
I agree.
I mean, what's
Trying to
next?
start a war with Karen B.
Karen B's an actual Bigfoot person, though, because she had a second-hand testimony from her young daughter who said that she smelt something. I spoke to Karen B about her evidence for Bigfoot. I just gave it you.
Wasn't she kidnapped?
No, she was out, and her daughter told her that she could smell something that was strange. That's it. That's the full story.
Yeah,
that was just
Nathan, it's
something
pretty
that she
telling,
ate.
though.
It was not something that she passed. Although I didn't actually ask her to confirm that. I feel a bit presumptuous to say that, but she didn't confirm or deny that, Neil. I'm sorry. I can't confirm or deny that either. But she smelt something, and therefore Bigfoot. That is not a lie. That is actually what she told me.
Yeah, I heard her testimony, yeah. It was like she got the feeling or something like that.
She got slightly moist.
You got the feeling.
Well,
Yeah, it's
the
pretty
thing
telling,
is this,
though,
right?
that I was going to say that Congress passed, the like you were talking about, to kibosh flat Earth channels. Like you said, you made a good point, Nathan. Yeah, they didn't pass any bills to quash Bigfoot channels. Exactly. Good point.
There was that bill about the
We all got
ghosties, though,
that.
right? We've got to stop those ghost people. I think if there was just 4 men and they had proton beam blasters and little traps, I don't know. We could call them the Ghostbusters. They are what we need. I mean, I don't know who you're going to call, if not the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember
It's just funny that there's a
they had to
globe
change their
buster.
name. They had to
Are
change
you
their
doing this
logo. Remember, they had to
purposely,
get rid of the
Guns?
ghost.
Yeah, because he said, Nathan, the something that I don't like the guy, and I never followed him. And I say I don't like him. I'm not that I personally dislike him. I don't know him, but I never followed him. Was that Crow 777 radio guy? Right? Never trusted him. Never followed him. Right now, what he did say is, in the age of 4K video, anything that's real will be filmed. Because so many people, and this is a couple of years ago, so it's even better now, but so many people let's say at the time they had an iPhone 12 or they had an iPhone 12 or they had let's just say, a whatchamacallit, a Samsung S20 or something, right? Point being is that at a certain point in technology, if something is there, right, you should be able to film it. Now, what I will say for certain is ever since the AI turned up, you have no end of Bigfoot videos, right? Because you have AI to make them for you. Now,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like, if this is a big issue, if it was a big issue, people believing that Bigfoot exists, right? Right? Doesn't matter whether your stance is you do or you don't. The point is you can only believe it or not believe it, right? If it was a big issue, there would be something done about it. But obviously it isn't. You know, so if this issue or this topic we're in, if this topic is not important and we're all a herd of idiots, then what's with all the effort? Do you know what I mean? There's nothing more obvious than that. Do you know what I mean? If it's not a problem, then how come it's such a problem? It's that kind of a thing, isn't it?
Agreed. Just film a plane flying upside down.
Yeah, just look at how many anti-flat Earth channels there are compared to anti-Bigfoot. It's all damage control. All these channels, anti-flat earthers. You know.
I don't know if that's the case either now. I assess it very differently. Rather than it being damage control, you need to create the impression there's an argument. So if you don't have these channels popping up that create the illusion of us, a flat earther, having arguments about ball limitations constantly, then that wouldn't be the position, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But it
okay,
is.
I see.
So they're not damage control. The people who respond to them are the alleged flat earthers, and they're being given this information from a controlled opposition narrative that says you need to know how the ball don't work. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a Jehovah's, not even a Jehovah's Witness, it's like a Scientologist. Hold on a sec. It's like a Scientologist saying, right, you've left Scientology. You need to know about how Xenu don't work now. Like, what? I've left. Yeah, well, people might come and tell you that you have got to understand the religion. Why? Oh, so that you don't leave. If you're arguing with us about how Xenu don't work, then you're still here, basically, aren't you? Well, if you just bugger off and stop thinking about Xenu, then that's no good. So it'd be better if you argue about how the ball don't work with me. Okay? So do you understand how the ball don't work? Well, I don't really care. Well, you need to. You're a flat earther. You need to know how the ball don't work. Quick, sharp, you idiot. Let me tell you how the ball works. You need to turn our backs on them. These idiots. that are affirming their own bias towards a ball. Now we know it's flat.
Yeah, it's a
We've got the
never-ending,
measurements. We don't need them anymore.
never-ending
We can just
story.
turn our backs on them. We can literally just turn our backs on them and say, bye-bye. Don't need you anymore. Interesting that you'd interrupted that particular moment, but there we go. Yes, just turn your backs on them. What do you need them for if you've got flat Earth measurements? The answer is you don't. But for the fact that they want to create an argument, or the perception of one, and you're assisting them if you start arguing with them. Just pat them on the head. Bless. Oh, you want to believe that there's no measured curve because... Or you want to believe that there's curve because we measure surface level like in this diagram. I mean, you can do that. But you don't need to argue with them, do you? Get on with your day. You know it's flat.
Nathan, has Simon Dan emailed you or anything or texted you since you did the critique on him?
I don't know of.
But because you really dumped on him there. That was a great episode.
Dumped on
like
him?
where you edited.
I see him as my brother now.
Beautiful.
What do you mean dumped on him? I see him as my brother. He measured the Earth flat 1,000 times across all sorts of different countries. I mean, I see that as very commendable, and Dan's like my brother now. Same as like Dave McKeegan. You don't know what I mean? You, Dan?
Well, I heard you say that. Yeah, he's like part of the family. Yeah.
Yeah, like a brother. Like he measures Earth flat where I can't really be bothered to. So thanks, Dan. You know, I mean, I'm not measuring any elevation angles. He measured 1,000 of them off a flat Earth. Well done.
Yeah. Most of our relatives are heliocentrists anyway. The same thing. You're right. Like our real family.
Well, that's Dan's need to tell me, isn't it? He needs to tell us. You don't understand how Earth's a ball. Watch me measure Earth flat 1,000 times. I mean, that showed us.
I find it funny how they all of a sudden become experts in everything. Like now they're all experts in flight.
Yeah.
They became instant experts in celestial navigation, instant experts in flight.
That's all right. I mean, everyone that's worked for Dan thinks they're an expert in measuring elevation angles off a flat surface level. I mean, obviously, a lot of those participants that Dan's got going on, they can all deny their measurements of a flat Earth they made as not being angles. That's fine too.
You're missing it. They want to constantly be in a teacher role. If they can put it across to the audience that they are the teachers in these things that we discuss, then they're the authority.
Yeah, indoctrination, yeah.
Recently, Nathan, in my last video that I made, where I was addressing problems with the Southern Cross and different, celestial issues, the explanation I got was that the Southern Cross can be seen from Texas in the autumn. It's just that it's there in the daytime. You know what I mean? So this is what you get, right? If it wasn't daytime, you could see it. That's basically what I got, right?
Oh, wait a second. You can see it, but you just can't see it because it's daytime?
Well, yeah, it's like, so it's a pre-assumption. So you must get into their pre-assumption, and that's how they teach you about glow. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's daytime. Can you see it? No. Why not? Because it's daytime. So you just presume it's there as part of a paradigm. No. Yes, that's what you're doing. So they keep on wanting to teach people about glow. They keep wanting to teach you all about glow. And all the pre-assumptions that must be made for glow. That's all they do. It's like, as Neil says, they keep on wanting to be the teacher. Yeah, they want to turn up and spend onto your channel and write 8 paragraphs of, globe.
Yeah, bless them. They want to educate you on globe because you're not having a bar of it anymore. You're like, well, I don't want to know about globe anymore. Well, we need to educate you on it because then you'll know about it. No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm all right for that, thanks. It's like, no, you can, no. You know what I mean? It's like, you just kind of casually just kind of going, I'm kind of done with that. You know what I mean? It's like, no, we can't be done with
Yes.
Brian, you really get under the troll skin, eh? They like after you make a video, there's like 400 comments within like a couple of days. Like you really piss them off.
I know I pissed them off royally. At one point, I can't remember
Yeah.
what the stats. I don't know what the stats are now, but on my last video, on the video I just made, the last time I looked at it was about 2 days in or 3 days in. It was 850 views and
Oh.
550 comments. It was ridiculous. And most of those comments, most of the comments are hidden by YouTube. They show up as a comment, but they're not shown because there are people just outright abusing me, basically.
Yeah. I can imagine. Do they still say things like drink bleach and all that and don't reproduce?
Well, they don't say stuff like that because they can't get away with it now, YouTube.
Yeah, but they can't get
They
away
may
with
say
it.
it, but I don't see it because they don't get away with saying it. YouTube don't post it.
So, Brian, I really want to know because I know you're at this angle where you're coming at them from the sky because you're trying to draw out certain people. Have any of them people, have you drew any of them out? Like the big guns?
Well, I don't know. I haven't looked at the comments for a few days. Probably not yet because something would turn up. You know what I mean? Someone would be telling me about it. So probably not yet. But it's only like the thing about it is that when it comes to the sky, they have their story pretty tight, right? And it's not airtight, but it's pretty tight when it comes to the sky, up to a point, with the exception of the measurements they must make off the Earth. Then they don't have it. But when it comes to if you just address the sky and you go into their paradigm and you assume all the nonsense, they have it down pretty tight. They have a pretty tight story. As I said, not airtight, but pretty tight. So you have to pick and choose what you attack, you know. So it's hard to get to the point where you have something that they need to address. But I'm working on it.
Anyway, Brian sure pisses them off. I imagine they have like handlers that have, say, each have like 5 trolls, and they send them in there. You know, like there might be, like you said, like the big guns, big dogs, like you're talking about, Neil. They might have them, but they have the offshoot, maybe 5 or 6 trolls that are under them, and they send them in. So there are the big shots are probably handling some of these trolls. I'm just assuming, just from what I think.
Well, the big guns I'm talking about are Brian Cox, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all of these guys.
Yeah.
They're the ones that we need to
They
draw
never
out.
comment. No. Yeah, they never bother Brian.
Well, you don't know who they are. They could be on a sock account themselves.
Yeah, that's true. They could be a sock account or something. Yeah.
I did have
anybody here from
make a video for me years ago.
Hey, did Bill Nye die? I haven't heard of him for years.
What, hold on, Brian. What did you say? Mick West? What?
Oh,
Mick West made a video in response to me many years ago. And Guns is going to try to overtalk this. Mick West made a video in response to me many years ago. Because I pointed out something about the sun. You know, the way it was probably about 2016 or something, maybe 2017. But it was I had hardly, if any, subscribers at the time. I just pointed out that, well, if we're on a rotating globe and we're rotating away from the sun, then over the course of a day, the sun would have to change in angular size. And he came at me with, well, it would change, but only a small amount. And he'd all trying to come up with all the maths. But like, why did Mick West suddenly decide to address someone with basically, if I had 5 subscribers at the time, it was a lot.
That's very telling.
Yeah, he made a whole video for me.
That's proof that Brian's videos touch the nerves of these people.
No, that validates what Nathan's saying. Got to stop Bigfoot.
Exactly.
Got to tell people Bigfoot don't exist.
I'll get right on it, Neil.
So, Nathan, from what I understand, is the next session will be in September for the book.
Yes, it's holidays and stuff.
Well, we're almost there, correct?
Yeah, we're on the last chapter.
What I was thinking a little conspiratorial a little bit. And I'm saying these son of a guns are probably waiting for the release of Nathan's book. And then they're going to release those supposed documentaries on the final experiment.
I don't care, really. They can do whatever they like.
Now you see Witsit respawned again.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers, guys. Have a good day.
See you later.
See you later, guns.
What did Witsit come back doing now? What's his video about?
Brian, to be honest, I got maybe 5 minutes in. Nothing about flat Earth. I think he's talking about Israel now and is God the creator. I did pick up one thing he said, and it's totally contrary to the Bible, where he said he was asking God, just give him a sign, just give me one sign. And the Bible is so opposed to that. Jesus even said he called them a wicked and adulterous generation that always looks after a sign. And that's exactly what he's saying his proof of God was, that he asked for this sign. And, why would God not give it to me if I asked him for it? But I got maybe 5 minutes in and then I had enough of it. I was like, I don't even know what this guy's talking about anymore. He denies Jesus, denies everything, but then at the same time proclaims it. So I don't know. He's just a very, very confused guy.
I was listening to Eddie Banjo, the start of Eddie Banjo's the collage of videos he has at the start of his show, and there's two clips of Witsit. What he first said concerning the whole Vapegate thing, and then him saying trying to claim that he never said that. Two different clips. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, how can you outright lie like that? Your original position was this, and it's recorded, and then he's saying, "I never said that." One of his first classes, I said this. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, how can you outright tell a complete lie? 180 degrees opposite from what he actually said. How can you do that? I don't know. I don't know how people can do those things. It's just, for me, it's just.
What's in a banjo?
Witsit. It's Banjo has
he's a liar. He's an outright liar.
Yeah. Banjo has some videos of David Moyes saying, you can trust these guys. These guys, they are not liars. These are the right guys to go to Antarctica, or they're not lying. They might have been fooled, or this kind of rubbish. And then, within a week of that, him and Jaron are arguing. It's like it's like such a pantomime of bullshit.
Yeah, somebody responded in one of the comments about, we need you around more because you're the only one with truth. You're the only one that demonstrates the truth. I was like, the truth? He's a proven liar.
You have to ask who's writing those things. don't you? You have to ask, who's writing this? Who's writing this down? Like, does he have fans that are so, let's just say, intellectually lost that they just think that he's telling the truth? Or is that somebody who's part of the paid operation to come in and say that? Because it happens. It's a constant thing online where you're hearing somebody in a podcast or something saying something, regardless of the topic, it's complete rubbish. Then you have people in the comments going, "Yeah, this is the truth. This man, he always tells the truth. We're glad you're here." It's just like you're totally paid to be here, like, or you're a bot or something. You know what I mean? You have to ask yourself when these people turn up, like, who are they? Well, you know what I mean? Are you really that? Then again, this is the problem. There is people out there who are that stupid. You know what I mean? There is people out there who are that naive. So this is the problem. How do you actually decipher whether it's a paid person, a bot, AI bot or something, or an actual person who really truly believes it? Because Witsit has loads of people that follow him because they thought he was bringing them the truth. He was bringing them the truth. He was bringing them all the ether truths and all this sort of stuff. This kind of thing. So it's hard to know. Steve, how many years are you living in Alabama now?
I think we're on our third year. Serena, we're on our third year living here. We're on our third year. Christmas, we'll be going into our fourth year.
Right. Now, I just want to know. I'll come back with you. The reason I'm asking you is to do with Flasky. She's not here, so I won't do it now. Let's just say she's let us down again.
Oh, so you forgot your point.
No. I just don't want to. I just don't want to go into it until she's here to defend herself.
Oh,
Flashy.
oh, Fatsy's from what'd you say? Don't tell me, Maryland.
Well, she's not originally from Alabama, it seems. I don't know.
Another.
You got cut off there, Nate.
I said more disappointment, right?
Yeah, more letdowns.
It's a lesbian bar, whether you like it or not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, everybody's fully aware of it, but that doesn't mean anything. Hey, Brian, then the other guy in chat. Wow, what are you doing? Every video, you're more and more diesel.
Diesel? What's that now?
They're working out. He looks like a skinny chicken arm guy to me.
Who does?
What's it? One of his commenters. Wow, you're working out because every video you're more and more diesel. What's your secret?
Well, I have to say, last time I saw him, he does look healthy. Say that about him. I would say that. Now, he's not, I wouldn't call him a bodybuilder, but he does look like he's been doing something. Now, maybe it's just because he got a tan. He is living in Florida. But he does look like he's doing something. I'd give him that much.
like a ripe strawberry.
Ready for the picking, is that it?
Right, I've got a post to make. Are you going to keep the conversation going? Or should I round out?
We'll do our best.
Fine, I'll keep it going.
Okay.
So, Brian, I agree with you up to a point, but I do think Nathan will be okay.
But my point was is that to learn what I was trying to put across, or the thing, it doesn't take much effort. Like, there's not much to learn. But he doesn't want to go through that. It's like, if it was something like, I'm not expecting them to learn about how a hydrogen fusion reactor works. You know what I mean? Which is actually not even that, when you look into it, it's not all that complicated either, right? Let's be honest, it's actually not. But it's not something daunting. I'm just looking for him to be in a situation where if someone brings up the topic, whether on the show here or if he's trying to promote the book, that he can defend himself. You know what I mean? Because he's also, you know, what can I do? You know, he's not interested. What can I do? He'll get through, but the point I'm making is that ballers, they don't need. They just need to give the audience the impression, whether they are doing it dishonestly or they actually believe that what they're saying is true. They just need to give the audience the impression that they have a point. And
Yeah, that I agree with. I agree with that.
That's what they like to do, you know. So because they like to do that, and because that's what, see, it's about character assassination, you see. That is an assassination of Nathan's character if he is being caught on something stupid like that.
What's up, QE? Now Nathan's going to come in and say, I thought you were going to keep the conversation going. It's a green light. Did you get that?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, good. Yeah, so what that was a guy named Captain Edgewise and another idiot named Alminator coming in with documents from Speary claiming that everything we get in pitch data is not the raw data. So that's what we want to get out to the audience. If they get the audience to understand that, then everything's a goodie.
But they don't understand it. That's the problem, because what they're saying is incorrect. But it doesn't matter whether they know what they're saying is incorrect or they don't know it. What matters is whether they give the audience the impression that they know what they're talking about and someone else doesn't. One of us doesn't, whether it be Nathan or anyone else. And if they do that to an audience who is completely ignorant of the whole thing, you could say 99% of them, with the exception of the odd person in the audience who may understand a bit about flight or gyros or something. When I say the audience, it's not just the listening audience, it's all the people that will hear it after that. So the problem is that can be used against, directly against somebody like Nathan or me or whoever. So I like to have the facts so I can show how they don't understand it, not I don't understand it. And that validates me then in the eyes of the audience, you know. Put yourself in the audience's position. Who are you going to go for? You're going to go with the person who appears to know what they're talking about. Whether they do or don't, if they appear to know what they're talking about, most people are going to go with them because they're a safe option, aren't they?
Yeah, well, once those people can't demonstrate any pitch change showing curvature, and I have another guy saying, but the pitch data is showing level flight, I'm going to take their word as an ignorant audience member or someone hearing a video down the road.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is, if Nathan is producing the pitch data and some baller is showing some nonsense to the audience that they don't understand, and he's not able to deal with the thing that he doesn't have the details on what they're bringing up. He can't show how what they're bringing up is false and wrong, if you understand what I mean. So at that point, it's a case of they either believe Nathan or they believe the guy who was bringing up the opposing point. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm trying to say. It's like, it doesn't have to be that topic. It can be many things. Like, that's what if they think you have a weak point, that's what they're going to try and go for. Or if they think that they have something, which they keep doing. Like, they think they have something when it comes to something like the pitch data. They're going to, or this thing. They think they have something. Like, McKeegan obviously thinks he has something, or he at least giving people the impression out there that they have something. Do you know what I mean? When they don't, they're not understanding the situation. They're not taking, as I said, they argue in a vacuum. They're arguing about 6, forgetting about 7 and 8, and 5 and 4, and 3 and 2 and 1 and 9 and 10. Do you know what I mean? They're focused solely on 6. And this goes against them. But it's no good. You can't use that against them. You can't use their position against them if you don't understand what it is they're coming at you with. If you don't have the details.
All right, you can't be trusted. With that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and Cheapest panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.